All right, hello. Is it working? All right. Well, I don't know what happened now. Don't know what happened now. Someone probably pinged my fucking channel and knocked me sound out, maybe. I don't know. Let's see if Dave wants to come in. If he wants to come in, I'll send him an invite through Facebook. I don't put channel names in here. Well, what I mean, I don't put channel links, just live streams in here. Alright, so hang on, let me close some of these bloody links down because I've got too many YouTube pages open. Right, send your Facebook message, Dave, with the link to StreamYard if you want to come in. You know what? I've never heard you give any kind of background information, history on that asylum. So it'd be interesting you coming on and give us some background, so I know what it's going to be like if and whenever I do come up. Hello, Shrimp. Hello, Jane, Ian, Angela, whoever else watching. Appreciate coming on, saying hello. Trying to get Dave on in a minute. Well, I'll go back to StreamYard so I can see when he pops on, if he pops on. Not forcing him. I don't force anyone to come on here. No, we're trying to keep all the haters and trolls out. So but yeah, I've never heard Dave give any kind of details on the history of that asylum. You know, it'd be interesting to hear about it. You know, it'd just be like, Dave, in a minute, I'm just going to make a cuppa. I'm just going to grab something to eat. I'm just going to the shitter. Okay, no, that's old. Your memories on Facebook from 5 years ago, me holding the book from Phil Sarkosis, or whatever his name is, the Horsefly Chronicle. Right, I'm going to come off Facebook now because I don't have to keep pinging. Yeah, so like as I was saying before, my audio went offline. I have got my other one here just in case it happens again. I'll just plug that in and that should work. But I don't know why that audio went off. I did no settings. You know, I didn't knock the USB adapter because that's plugged in further away from me. So, but I know sometimes just knocking the computer can like give me a ding ding noise saying that something's been deactivated. Maybe the camera just wanted to malfunction when I was talking about demonic things. Maybe I got a demonic spirit that don't want me talking about demonic spirits. I don't know. I've had a few weird things happening here over the last few nights, but I don't think they're really demonic. Yeah, I think most of this stuff where people... Here he is. Welcome, David. How are you?
All right, mate.
You didn't have to wait that long, did you? 30 seconds?
I was there a little while, lingering in the basement, you know.
Talking to the demons.
All sorts of things linger in your basement, lad.
What basement? I don't know what basement.
The basement, that's waiting to come up on screen. That's what it's known as, the basement. Waiting for the host to bring you up onto the panel.
Oh, yeah, the basement. Oh, that basement.
That basement, yeah.
You mean the deep dungeon?
I do.
The dungeon. Yeah, so get some history background of that asylum, if you know about it. Because if I was ever to come up, I need to know something about it. How many cells are there? How many people died there? How many people were, like, put in there? You know, what kind of cases were there? You know, was it just, like, people just going stir crazy, you know, mental illnesses? Was it due to, like, what was it called? TB as well? Because a lot of people got put in for TB, didn't they?
No, not in this particular place. No, it wasn't a sanatorium as such. But it's been around, or rather, it was brought into being in 1845 in its original location, and moved in about the 1870s. And during the Victorian era, a lot of people would be put into asylums, as they were then, for lots of very mundane things like grief, you know, silly things like that. If a woman lost her husband and started to show any signs of grief, she would be put into a mental institution for it. There were really archaic kind of rules for the reason people got put in it. But this one, anyway, I'm not going to give the name of it on the internet so other people can go there, obviously. But it was one of the forerunners of the development of so-called psychological treatment. And that's, you know, insulin injections, ice water treatment, lobotomies. There were lots of things that went on. So actually pinning down how many people died there would be difficult. I'm sure people obviously did, but obviously the main reason for it being there was for people to get better. You know, whether they did or not is open to conjecture, you know. Do
you think they might have done like the electrocution treatment and stuff like that?
Oh yeah, they absolutely did. They did do that there. Yeah, it's known for being one of the places where a lot of the treatment was tried out first before it was spread out across the rest of the country.
Hi, Michael. So, if you say that there's prison cells there, yeah,
there are secure rooms there.
Yeah,
not prison cells.
Because over Dartford, in the Bexley Centre, Bexley Hospital, when that was erected, they had like padded cells for the more crazy ones. So that probably had that one there as well, then padded cells for the more crazy, disturbed ones. So if that had that, how many would you say there would be? So I think the one in Bexley only had like half a dozen, maybe a dozen maximum.
There were secure wards and secure rooms. And three floors of them, and I think that the most secure rooms are the ones where you can tell by the grills that are on the window and the barred gates that are on the landings of the areas where the more secure rooms were. But they're not. You can tell by the layout they're not cells; they're actual rooms. They've got tannoy speakers in there, so they could be communicated with. And probably when it was lunchtime and things like that they would gather in the communal room and things like that. There were also day areas where they could sit. So it was a place where they weren't actually sort of like imprisoned, at least in later years. They were obviously like there for treatment, but there was a big medical part of it as well. And I think for the most part they were kept in good conditions because obviously they were trying to look after these people to the best that they could. In the Victorian era and at the turn of the 20th century, things might have been a lot different there, you know. The type of treatments that they were using, you know, electric shock therapy, like I say, insulin treatment, ice water treatment, bringing on epileptic fits. There were lots of things that they tried to do.
I don't think that really helped a lot of patients, did it, really? Doing those kind of treatments, it made them worse.
Well, there is evidence to suggest that some electric shock treatment, the electrical impulse delivered to certain parts of the brain can help. It's not viewed as being nice in today's standards, and obviously we understand why. But there was evidence to suggest that it did work to a certain degree. It could alleviate some of the discomfort that a patient might be feeling when they're having a psychiatric disorder. It's just obviously frowned upon because you're electrocuting somebody. Hello, everybody, by the way, in chat. I can see people saying hello, hi.
Hello, Jessica. Yeah, that's you. I was going to find out that's you or not. Yeah, that's my daughter. So, do you think having these asylums was a good idea for the public, or do you think it was kind of like in between or bad? Because I think if they were trying to help, then a good idea. But if it's there to like make people worse, then they shouldn't have them.
Well, you know, as you know, I trained and studied psychology, Steve. So I've got, I do have a view upon this. I don't think they did work. I think, for the most part, care in the community works as long as people in the community are getting the care that they deserve. And the mental health system is always under fire. It's always under scrutiny, and a lot of the time it's underfunded. And people with any kind of mental health were always, it was sort of like a stigma for many years, that if you had something wrong with you, or you was depressed or had anxiety or social issues, then you'd be looked at as being crazy or weird. And it's only really in the last 20 years, if it really, I suppose, that it's started to change a little bit. There's been more famous people have come forward and saying that they've had mental health issues, and they've been more willing to talk about it, so the public don't really judge it as such. But I don't think I think if somebody's so mentally disturbed that they're dangerous to other people as well as themselves, then a secure unit does have a place. But for the most part, as I said earlier, in the Victorian era especially, you could be locked up in a mental asylum for very, very, very mundane thing. And a quick search of the internet will show people a list of the kind of things that people could be put in a mental asylum for. Menstruating was one of them. If a woman was on a period and was showing signs of distress because she was in discomfort, as obviously that's understandable, the husband could have them put into a mental institution for that, into an asylum, and it's completely ridiculous. If they lost somebody and they were showing signs of grief and they weren't willing to, they'd be put in a mental institution. If they weren't eating properly, they could be put into a mental institution. And of course, because people didn't have the same rights then as they do now, husbands could easily put their spouses or children into mental institutions when they didn't deserve to be there.
Well, lucky we're not like that now, because the amount of people with mental health issues now, especially me, I'd probably be locked up in one, no my fucking luck.
I think a lot of people would, Steve,
Yeah. So, like that Jamie Boy mentioned a while ago, you mentioned famous people. David Bowie was put in one because of his drug problem, apparently. I don't know if he actually went in, voluntarily, or if someone like a doctor put him in there or what, but
well, a lot of
hear a lot about famous people going in there, do you really? It's kind of like
there is a few though, Steve. There is a few. There are a few that have come forward and admitted that they've done it. A lot of TV stars, film stars, and musicians and everything. Excuse me, a big one around the country is the Priory, known as the Priory. They have a few different locations where people can get care. And a few people have been there that have acted on things like Coronation Street, a few famous musicians. There has been a few. Obviously, I don't want to be giving names because they're easy enough to find on the internet if you do a search. But they have. I mean, okay, a famous one, I suppose, would be Spike Milligan. Spike Milligan was very vocal about the fact that he at times he needed, he needed to spend time in the hospital to receive treatment.
Well, I always thought Spike Milligan was a crazy arse. Anyway, just watching him on TV. Another person I thought was a bit crazy was old Wurzel Gummidge. I thought he was a bit of a lunatic, but
yeah. So I'll see you later, Angela. Thanks very much. Dorius. I've been called Doris before now, so I'll take that.
Dorius.
Dorius,
I just call that.
I know we do. I've been
Oh, that's
called worse, Steve. Been called worse, you know.
you. I fucking have. Won't go there though, but I've been
Nah.
called more worse things than you could even consider of thinking of calling me. But do you think that these asylums, these hospitals, are now like kind of getting a little bit extinct, like the old dinosaur being knocked down? Do you think?
Yeah, sorry, Steve. Yeah, there was a massive reform anyway. In the it started to come into effect really in the late 1970s, but especially in the late 80s and early 90s. Because of, like I said before, the stigma of the word asylum. You say the word asylum and people think, well, and quite rightly so, the type of things that we've been talking about, like a frontal, lobotomy and insulin treatment, electric shock treatment, and stuff like that, which can viewed upon as being barbaric. And of course, they didn't know better. It was at the cutting edge of what they considered to be psychological treatment at the time. You taking apart, or rather, conducting an autopsy or taking apart a human brain and seeing the physicality of it doesn't give you an understanding of how the psychological part of it works. So they were, for the most part, they were fumbling in the dark about how to treat mental health. So some of the treatment was judged as being what was right at the time. We look back at it now, and it's really, really archaic, and a lot of it quite brutal seeming. But the same thing can be said for medications. There's limited evidence to suggest we completely understand why certain medications work and how they work. We just see that under certain circumstances they do. So not even having a full understanding of the treatment now doesn't help either. And that's a good point Jane's just made in the chat. The lockdown isn't helping anybody's mental health. Absolutely not. I mean, I think suicides are up by a massive percentage. 200, 300%. Could be wrong there. I don't know the actual statistics, but the suicide rate is much, much higher at the moment, yeah.
I know I've seen a few news articles where people are taking their life because of lockdown and, losing their jobs and stuff like that. And it's all, and, I'm not going to go into it, but it's the government's fault. I do blame them. Because to me, this pandemic isn't as bad as I think it is. They're just making up numbers. There's no proof that all these numbers. The other day, I got a message through my phone, through one of the news media saying 60,000 died within a week. That's more than it ever happened in the first few months when it first came out. So it's just numbers being pulled out of a hat. I don't believe it. I said earlier, who do you know that's died from, the virus itself? Every time someone dies, either through cancer, lung disease, or some other kind of like medical problem, what do they put on the death certificate? Cool.
Yeah, it's a tough one. I totally understand what you're saying, Steve. I mean, I've not been that great recently. I've not. That's the reason really for my absence off YouTube. I've been doing other things with my life and trying to get healthier and feel better. I've got things going on at the minute, so I've not been in the best of health. But that's another story. But by the by, I was at A&E a week or so ago, because of what's going on, and because they were run off the feet. I sat in the waiting room for about 6 hours, and all through that 6 hours there were just ambulances turning up one after another, and all of them going in through a door with the yellow and black tape, warning tape on it. That was for COVID patients going in. And every couple of minutes over the tannoy, you would hear such and such a body to resus, please. People being called into resus. And I've been to A&E and been kept waiting in the past, as no doubt most of us are here now, and seen ambulance coming, but not to that kind of extent. I've seen the looks on the faces of the people when I did get seen that were just absolutely exhausted and looked like they'd been through. I don't know what they look like they've been through, but so I don't know, because I sort of read the numbers myself and look at the the ONS figures, the for the Office of National Statistics and stuff, and I look at the government websites, and a lot of it doesn't seem to match up. Yeah,
it's just conflicting. You don't know what's real and what's true, and what's been, pulled out of hat, and what's the real numbers. It could, like, in one way, accelerate 1 week, which you can do. All five says do accelerate, and then it could, like, decelerate a day later, and no one's, like, got it. They're better because they've been treated, and they keep saying they got all these treatments out, which they haven't. It's all right for them to turn around and say, "Oh, we got a vaccine," when they haven't even got a vaccine, or there's, like, different groups of trying to get a vaccine, when they turn around saying, "Well, if you've got, like," this is what I didn't understand, right, when it first kicked off. If you're diabetic or you have asthma, then you're at risk, right? But then another doctor came through and done a public writing and said, "No, if you've got asthma or diabetes, then you're safe. You're going to be immune to it." So I'm thinking, well, one saying that you are going to be affected, and one saying that you're not being affected.
Well, if you get any kind of infection or any kind of even very mild illness as a diabetic, whether you're type 1 or type 2, it can massively affect your blood sugars to the extent where you can get ketoacidosis, or at the other end of the scale, your blood sugars can drop that low. You go hypoglycemic and into a coma. So it's very serious. And that's even any kind of infection and any kind of mild illness if your blood sugars are affected and not controlled. If you're asthmatic, seasonal allergies can make it so difficult that you think that your chest is crushing, being sat on by an elephant. So this is regardless of COVID-19. So I can massively see why COVID-19 or the symptoms of COVID-19 can do so much damage to people that are predisposed towards certain conditions beyond a shadow of a doubt. One of my close friends, he was a little bit nonchalant about the pandemic and didn't really, I wouldn't say he didn't believe it, but he didn't know exactly where to stand because of the, like so many other people, the figures didn't match. But his wife works as a diabetic nurse at a hospital nearby, one of the biggest in the country as it happens. And she was saying, trust me, it's very, very real. But he was, it's the flu and all that kind of thing. She caught it. Anyway, she ended up catching it. And of course, had to isolate. Now, she's a trooper. And as soon as she remotely started to feel better, she wanted to get back there and start helping people again. And she'd been saying that so many wards have been converted and then converted back into normal wards. Then when there was an influx of patients, they would change it back to a COVID ward with all the protocols in place for COVID, with the the protective gear and respirators and incubators and stuff like that. And about, I don't know, what, 3 months ago would it be? Yeah, maybe 3 months ago, he caught it. He ended up with COVID. Yeah, he caught COVID, and he's saying to me, it's weird, it's hanging, it's like a cold, and it's not like the flu, but the cough and there's a day where you just, the sweats and everything that I just can't explain. It's like nothing else I've had. And the danger with it is people think they get better, don't they, Steve? They think they're better, but there's like a mark at about just shy of 2 weeks where you've had the initial symptoms, where if it gets hold of you, that's when it starts to do the damage. It's after the sweaty stages and it's after the symptoms where you feel like you've got flu, where it seems to take people. That's why now they're saying, the amount of people, and this is, again, we're talking about figures which you mentioned before, and quite rightly, and who to believe. But now they're saying the amount of deaths of people that have had COVID within 28 days. Do you know what I mean? So people that have died, that have tested positive for COVID within 28 days, and they're the figures that they're currently giving at the moment.
I don't believe them. Sorry, I just don't believe it. No, where's all the death certificates and proof that they died from the COVID? Many people die from, just general illnesses, don't they? And like, it's easy for the government to turn around and say, well, you need to put COVID, otherwise we're not going to give you money next year. So the hospital's got to do what the government's telling them to do.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. I will say this though.
News media does it for ratings and sending papers. You know, they make up numbers as well. You know, they might get a number from like NHS or something. Say, you know, they contact. So how many cases do you have today? 1,000. Right. Okay. Thank you. They go and put it on the news media. 10,000.
Yeah, but the thing is as well is what you've got is because the news media sort of obviously control the information that you have access to. You have the option of believing what you're being told or not believing what you're being told. And it's both sides of the same thing, really, because if you just don't believe what you're being told, then the institution is and the constitution is a lie. If you do believe what you're being told, then everybody who doesn't believe it are COVIDiots, as they call them, or vice versa. You know, there is something going on. There's definitely something going on. Some of the figures don't match up, no, because I don't know. I think it's more you know what I think is the most frightening part of it, that they don't know what's going on, they don't understand, and they can't control it. I don't think it's a mass conspiracy to change us all into drones, because I'm fairly sure that they're not interested in what Mrs. Barbara Smith and how many eggs she's cooking for her husband Harold on a Sunday morning. The government don't give a shit about that. Bill Gates doesn't give a shit about that. It doesn't impact their lives in the slightest. I don't know what makes people think that they're so important that them scratching their ass and showing what food they made that evening on Facebook is that important for the running of the world, because it isn't. They don't give a shit. They're not trying to implant microchips inside you to control you. You're already carrying them around in the form of a mobile phone, you nuggets. You know, get real. There's something going on. I admit that. But on a first-hand level, I know people that have caught it and I know people that have been affected by it and have been at the hospital at the times when it's been under stress because of an influx of patients. Is it because of COVID? I don't know. I can't prove that. But there's something going on and people are falling ill. And if you look at the amount of time, Steve, people have turned around to me and go to the Office of National Statistics because there's the proof that the people aren't dying from COVID. I have. I done that. And the numbers are there for people from dying of COVID. So I'm like, I don't understand why you're sending me there, because are you reading different figures than I do? Because they're giving them us there. But is it what we're being told? Is it the truth? I don't know. I don't have any answers. But we're in another lockdown. Everybody's fed up. The world's in a shit state, isn't it?
No, I think like Jane said, it's like level 4 lockdown. That's the third lockdown we've been on.
Yeah.
You know, it feels like, like I said earlier, it feels like our freedom's been ripped apart. We can't talk about certain things, freedom of speech, we can't go out. We've been held in our own private prison cells, we're not allowed to go and visit family. We weren't allowed to go and visit anyone at Christmas time, New Year's time.
Yeah.
Me and my family always got together Boxing Day, but this one we couldn't go to because they were too afraid in case someone did have a virus and didn't realise it, or you might get caught and arrested and end up in court and paying a fine or something. So we all said, like, okay, we won't do it this year, and we've been doing it for many years, getting together. It's the government that's fucked everyone over. All right, they can say, oh, like, we'll support you. If your employer sacks you, we'll support you. Look at all this shit that's going on with the DWP. Oh, you're entitled to this, you're entitled to that. But now they're saying, well, actually, I think we've overpaid you. You've got to pay that back. And they're going to be helping you if you've got to pay back money that they're giving you to help you out. I personally think it's a conspiracy going on. I'm not saying that the COVID is real or not. We all get, viruses happen every single day of the year. New viruses pop up from out of nowhere, whether being like biological, man-made, or it's just like something from the environment. Someone's gone to like a country and wild pig has like had some kind of like swine pig flu, or bitten by a mosquito or something, and they've brought it back to their own country, and it's escalated. No, we're all going to get, viruses. Can't stop them. Been on this planet from day one. I'm not saying, the COVID is, not real. It sounds like it is real, but it's been put out of proportion. We're not getting true numbers. The government is giving us lockdown after lockdown after lockdown. It's causing a wild world spread of panic buying, so we can't go out and get the provisions. So other people who's got the money to go out and buy all this shit for themselves and let the poorer people suffer. And we can't talk about it, not in certain ways, because we're too worried that either our channel will be taken down or we'll have someone knocking on the door and arresting us for even speaking certain things about it. I'm not one who talk about the government, but I think it's some kind of conspiracy, between country after country. It's like I said before, it's not like a proper war. It's like a biological war, I reckon, that someone has made a biological virus and, they attacked one country and, it's kind of just gone worldwide spread, which it shouldn't have done. Because there was that saying about it, wasn't there, not long ago, when it first appeared, there could have been like a biological warfare. Maybe it could be. Don't know. Can't prove it, but
Well, that side of it hasn't gone away. I mean, there's elements within the CIA and the Defense Department of the US, and even over here, allegedly, that they still think that that's the case. Despite the World Health Organization saying that no, we know categorically that we've seen and recognized the protein that's forms up the part of the DNA and DNA structure, if you like, of the virus disease itself, the bacteria, the viral, the makeup of the genetic structure of the virus, sorry, which attacks you and they've sort of shifted from pillar to post about how it actually attacks you. I mean, now they're thinking that it does something to the brain, which then makes you attack your own internal organs with your own immune system, and that's what's so dangerous about it. But right at the very early stages of it, the American government were convinced that it had been manufactured in a laboratory, and that they didn't believe what the World Health Organization said, even to the extent of Donald Trump pulling all US funding from the World Health Organization. Now that has to mean something. If the America is saying China have got a lot to answer for regarding the virus, and then America pulls all its funding from the World Health Organization because the World Health Organization is saying, no, it's totally natural. And America's going, we're not having that. In fact, we're not even paying any money into you lot because you haven't got a clue what you're talking about. There's got to be something going on there, hasn't there? I mean, you can't ignore the fact that it originated in China, apparently, because there is also evidence to suggest that it was in the sewers of Spain and Italy well before it started to show in China, isn't there?
I don't know, I didn't read that. I know they blamed China, and China got the arsehole over it and started threatening different countries, especially the United States. And after reading so much, I got so confused and bored with it, I stopped reading it. I thought this is just government crap, political conspiracy. You know what it reminds me of?
What?
There's a certain movie out there, Resident Evil.
All right. What, you think the people that are running the government's like the Rainbow Corporation or something?
Could we? Never know. Could we? Because isn't it funny that some of the movies come out are actually after certain events that that does happen in the future. Now I know Resident Evil is just a sci-fi movie, but I'm thinking maybe like someone did create a virus that can cause a pandemic, and they've sold it on to the government, different countries, and they're just conspiring with each other and saying, let's blame him, blame them, and they're getting paid. Each government's getting paid to lie to us.
Well, I sort of have this kind of viewpoint on it as far as it being a biological weapon goes, is there are far more effective, going off the amount of people that have died so far, the type of people, or rather should I say the demographic of the kind of people that have died so far, means it's got a very niche or very selective kind of victim, if you like, for it to be a weapon. There are far more effective means of controlling the population than by a man-made virus, if this is what this is supposed to be. Good old-fashioned wars are one, for a start. Ethnic cleansing, because that's what the human race has been so good at for years, hasn't it? Let's be truthful. When it comes to a war, and when one group of people don't like another and like kill millions of them, ethnic cleansing has been going on for so long. We've seen it in Rwanda. We have religious cleansing now. That's going on in various different countries where Christians are being murdered by Muslims and vice versa. We had it in the Second World War with the Jews, absolutely killed in the millions. Yeah. Like we had it in the 1990s in the breakup of Yugoslavia with Bosnia and Herzegovina, Sarajevo, places like that. Just absolutely mass killings, like millions, hundreds of thousands of people killed there. You know, it's ridiculous the amount of people that were killed, and far more effective ways of controlling the population than this. So as a weapon, I don't think the virus itself is a weapon, but as a means for controlling people to make them scared, then it's more of a psychological weapon, if you understand where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
Rather than the virus itself being a weapon, it's the effect that it has on people by scaring them, and it's the psychological. It's almost like a biological, psychological warfare with trade. You know, you've got NATO fleets, or what were NATO fleets, if you like, or a massive American presence in the South China Sea. You've got the West not willing to want to buy Chinese products and saying no to Huawei and, you know, all this kind of stuff. You've got China pushing a digital currency. So there is lots of things that would sort of play into why people would see it as a conspiracy theory. So we understand why people do think that.
I think it's all like, you know, all the government's like, well, you know, if you let us put the blame on you, we'll pay you like $100 trillion, you know, and like then we'll move on to another country and blame them and pay you $100 trillion. You know, where it come from, we don't know. Could have originated from China, could have come from Spain, could have come from Portugal, you know, anywhere. You know, it's cheaper for them to make a biological weapon than it is with, like, I suppose, nuclear arms, guns, rockets, missiles, all that shit.
But the biggest commerce for the Western powers, and even China and Russia, is selling arms. Yeah. If you look at the actual figures, Britain is one of the biggest exporters of arms around the world. We don't make cars like we used to, and we don't have coal like we used to in the oil industry and all that kind of thing, and Jaguars, and we've nothing to be proud of like we used to. Our steel industry in Sheffield and all that type of stuff, and come on, let's all back the miners because they're being subdued by the government. All them years have gone now. Our biggest export and our biggest part of trade is weapons, selling weapons. We build weapons, and we build them very well, and we sell them around the world, as do the US, as does France, as does Russia, as does China, and we sell them all around the world, and we fund proxy wars. We fund wars, little wars that we hear about in the news for a couple of days, then we hear nothing else. But thousands of people die because of it, but they're using weapons that we make, or they're using weapons that America makes, or somewhere else, or whatever. The biggest industry is making weapons. It's selling weapons and making weapons. It makes people money, and that's what power is, and that's what greed is. And that's what war. You need weapons for war. Without a war, you don't need weapons. So it would make them more it would make them more money, I beg your pardon, if we had a war rather than releasing a virus that, if it's passing anyway and if it's spreading anyway, once you've took the research and development cost out of making the virus, all you need is a little test tube, don't you?
Yep.
Break that open, and you need patient zero to catch it, to pass it on to somebody else, to pass it on to somebody else, to pass it on to somebody, and there you go. So it's going to, once you've researched and developed, you've done the research and development, and that might cost you millions. I don't know. It might cost you a few hundred. Again, I don't know. But once you've done that and you've paid it and you've developed it and you've got it inside your little test tube of green liquid at Rainbow Corporation or something like that, and you put it out into the community, it doesn't cost anything anymore because people spread it. People then become the weapons. They spread it. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. But I still think, like, it could be something to do with that, trying to cut down on, because we all run out of resources, maybe not getting the certain ores we need to produce, the weapons, like, petroleum and, steel, iron, copper, whatever. That's all going to run out eventually, innit? Because we're always like digging and digging and digging and digging for the resources. If they know that their resources aren't going to be there, and other countries ain't going to give it to them because they need it themselves to, create their own weapons, what's the next step? Biological. So,
I don't think there's any doubt that biological weapons have been used and do get used, because you've just got to look at the First World War. You've just got to look at Al-Abja when Saddam Hussein used it on his own people. It's been used against. It's been used against the Kurds, and it has been used, but it's as an effective. The thing is, if anybody can catch it, then it's not effective, is it? Because you can kill your own with it.
Mm.
It's not selective enough.
But then a government's got to be prepared that it's going to take part of their own, like part of their civilization before it takes. They've got to say, well, and then we're going to release it. We're going to probably lose like 10 million people. What's that to them? They're going to weigh about 10 million people, are they? As long as like another 50 million or 100 million people get it in another country that they're going to die, then they're going to, accept their own losses, aren't they, really?
I understand that, but they've got a better way of doing it with nuclear weapons. Now, the thing is the reason that didn't go off is because there was something known as mutually assured destruction, known as MAD, that the Americans were aware of, and also the Russians were aware of, that the more and more that each one of them built, the less chance the other side had of winning and the less chance that they had of winning. Because it's a case of you fire your nukes, we'll fire ours, everybody's dead. Now, nobody's left around. Nobody's left to take control. Nobody has power. And it is power play. It's all about power. Dick showing, like waving the old sword rattling, innit? It's about, I've got a bigger knob. I've got a bigger knob than you, and they're all showing what it, and it's like, it's pathetic. It is though, innit? It's like the governments do that, but they wouldn't do it because there was nothing to gain from it. And people who say that, and I understand why they do, again, but people who say it's the government's doing this and the government's doing that, and it's like, to what end? For what? If it's just about control, then they only need the psychology of it, don't they? They don't need to worry about actually killing people. They just need to make out they've killed people. Do you know what I'm saying?
Well, I think they're doing. They're making that by putting false numbers out, for one, because they're putting fear into people, and people would commit suicide. I think there's been reported more suicides than actual COVID deaths in one particular week, which I read on one of the news articles. I can't remember if it was Times or Daily, something like that. It said that there was more suicides in 1 week than there was with the COVID, because people have got the fear in them. They're losing their jobs. They can't control, the way they live. They might have had a high standard of living. Now they fall into poverty. They can't bear doing what they're doing anymore. So they've gone and committed suicide. So the government's putting fear in, giving out false numbers, saying that so many people have probably died from the virus when they haven't. And because they're saying that, it's putting fear into people, and they're killing people by making them commit suicide. That's two ways: virus and suicides. And it's also increased mental health, like you said, probably about 200%.
Just said, answer what Jane said there. Do you think they're bringing the soldiers in to control the lockdown? I think, for the most part, the armed forces are obviously under command of the Queen. They're not under command of the government, really, but it's HM Armed Forces, isn't it? But the armed forces have got relatives that make up the civilian population. So I think, any kind of revolutionary ideas or people, they'll only go so far with the military, I think. But there's the chances they'll bring them in to control the lockdown. I think they might. I think there's a chance of that I do think that there is a chance of that. Yeah.
Well, that's only if, there's going to be a shitload of riots, which before they started, I said before, and I'm not trying to like make this up or be beheaded or anything like that, but when this all started, I said, you watch, there's going to be riots, there's going to be lootings, and we're in a month, there's riots and lootings. So now, we're on the third lockdown, or whatever it is now.
It's a second lockdown, technically, isn't it? Because we went into the tier system, really.
I reckon it's the third one in the news media. But let's just say second, third, it don't really matter what one, yeah? Mm-hmm. If we're going to be restricted to do what we're supposed to be doing, just like Americans, they had like marches, they had riots, they had looting, didn't they? Not just them, but other countries as well. That's going to happen again. And if that's going to happen again, that's when they're going to start bringing in the military, because the police force are going to be too overwhelmed to even handle it. So they're going to have to bring in the military. Now,
okay, well, if you look at other countries around the world, right, Steve, let's have it right. If you look at other countries around the world and the way that they've dealt with it, and then look at other countries, let's say, right, ours, at the beginning, okay, it sort of was a little bit like closing the barn door after the horses bolted by instilling a lockdown a little bit late in the eyes of people, yeah? But if you believe the figures, the cases started to drop. We got the first wave under control. People then, for the most part, and I've seen it firsthand, people not giving a shit. I was in the hospital the other day, as I said to you, and people have got a face mask on, but with a nose sticking out. And it's like, right, well, if you don't want to wear a face mask because you don't believe in it, then don't. But don't go through an arse-half attempt to try to pretend to do it. Because if you're not covering your nose, it's not being effective. So people aren't paying attention to what's going on. They're not paying attention to the lockdown. People were going to raves during the tier system, and we end up with another surge of cases, and people like going, I don't understand how that works. Well, it's like, well, we done one lockdown and we got on top of the virus for the most part. People got lax. And I'm not trying to blame population, but a lot of it is down to the way that we act. Yeah? And it started to take it a little bit more for granted. And now we're back under a lockdown again because cases are going through the roof. And it makes perfect sense to me. Because if you look at New Zealand, who were a lot more strict on their lockdown, they're pretty much back to normal. Mm. So how does that work then if the virus doesn't exist? It sort of becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Do you know what I'm saying?
No, so I'm not saying it does or doesn't exist. I think there's something out there that is affecting us, yeah. But the numbers we're getting just don't tally. And I think it's, a conspiracy between the media and the government. That's all.
I know exactly what you're saying. I mean, the thing that is more concerning me is what people should be more concerned about is not that the government are trying to control us. It's more that the government have not got control of the virus. I think that is the more scary thing out of the two, because they haven't. If they haven't, and they are telling us the truth, they don't know how to protect us, and they don't know how to stop the virus. And that is the danger. That's the biggest thing. That's the biggest danger. Because you've got, two situations. If they are trying to control us, for the most of us, we're going to keep our lives, but we'll be under control. Okay, but we'll be alive. It's not great and it's not right, but we'll be alive. If they are telling the truth and it spreads exponentially across the country and nothing's done about it and people do start dying in the street, then what? And they were right. Then what? We don't have our life. We don't have our lives anymore because we're dropping dead all over the place. So it's like, I don't know what's going on, Stephen. I'm not pretending to make out that I do, but I'm also not going to wear a tinfoil hat as well, thinking that I'm trying to be controlled or mind control, because it's like this. If you believe in the virus, then people who don't believe in the virus think that you're being controlled by the government. Well, that works the other way too, doesn't it? Because if you don't believe in the virus and you think that people who do believe in the virus have got it wrong, then you're still being controlled, because the information that people who don't get in the virus, where are they getting their information from? They're getting it from the internet. They're believing sources. They're believing certain people, aren't they? They're choosing to believe one side of the story, and people who believe in COVID are choosing to believe another side of it, aren't they? Yeah. But if you want information about the virus, where are you getting it from? The experts. No, you're getting it off the internet, or you're seeing it on Facebook, or you're seeing it in the news or a column. But half of these people that are saying that they've got information that COVID doesn't exist, and that doctors have released information that COVID doesn't exist, these doctors haven't produced any peer-reviewed papers that what they're saying is true.
Well, they can't because the government's fucking got them on one of those. What I'm trying to think of is that even when you had people from China coming out from the news media and writing articles, what happened to them? They got arrested and thrown in prison, and they were doctors. So any doctor that comes out and says, this is not real, it's all fakery, what's going to happen to them? They're going to be fucking probably arrested, locked up, maybe shot in the head.
But my point is this: where are you reading that information that has happened? You're seeing it in the media, you're seeing it in the paper, or you're reading it online, aren't you?
Yeah. So
you're getting your information from the same place people who believe in COVID are, off the internet or in a newspaper, are you not?
Yeah.
Do you see my point? That's the thing. Is how many doctors do you know that have been locked up?
None at the moment.
Exactly. So when you said to me before, and I agree with you, by the way, because I do agree with you, how many people do you know that have died from COVID? And I'll say to you, how many people do you know that have been shot by the government for talking about COVID?
None.
Exactly. So we end up back at where we started earlier, where we don't know who to believe. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We don't know who to believe.
I just think it's wrong. In one way, yeah, we do need kind of like a lockdown, but not to be restricted on certain, the social distancing, you're never going to stop, because every time I go into a shopping centre, I've got people standing next to me inches away. All right. A lot of them wear masks, a lot of them don't wear masks. All right. If it's going to be one of those things that the government turn around and say, right, we won't lock you down, but by law now, you have to wear a mask covering your face and mouth. And if you get caught without it covering your face and mouth, then you can be arrested and possibly fined. Well, that ain't going to happen because the pandemic has actually put a very large, massive backlog down on court cases because of the pandemic. I know that for a fact.
Fair enough.
I've got the email from the officer who's dealing with my case to prove that I was lucky that this case, which I'd spoken to you probably
I know exactly what you're talking about.
That could have not gone through until 2022, 23. But for some reason, they managed to squeeze it in towards the third quarter of this year. And the officer said, I can understand, you're going through the stress, anxiety, and depression of, what's happened to you. I can only apologise. We've spoken to the CPS, but because of this pandemic, it's put everything back. Even some of the major cases, have even been put back. Some of the high criminal cases have been put back. It's only
people have had surgery put back, which is life-saving surgery, Steve. It's not just about court cases. It's happening all over the country and all kinds of things.
Everywhere. So,
do you know what I mean? But the thing is it's like, it's saying like such and such a thing isn't a law. Well, if it's a provisional thing that's brought in by the government, how many people have actually read the document, the COVID Act of 2020?
I haven't seen it.
I have.
I didn't even hear it.
Oh yeah, exactly. But I have. I've read it.
Yeah, there was one.
I've read it. Oh yeah. And let me tell you, it gives them rights, and it's been voted in and put through as legislature. It's been voted in by all the parties, not just the Tories, right? Even the opposition, they voted in it too. The House of Lords have voted on it. It's been passed. COVID Act of 2020. And it gives them little loopholes, which means all these little things where people say that's not a law, so they can't enforce it. Oh, yes, they can. They're allowed to take whatever acts they deem necessary to control the virus.
See, what I don't understand, right? You see all this media floating around on buses and tubes and stuff like that, 2 meter distance, facial mask is necessary unless you're exempt. Now, I can be classed as exempt because of like my asthma, right?
Mm-hmm.
I can be exempt. I don't have to go on a bus without a mask, but I do put a mask on, right? I always put a mask on when I'm on a bus. There has been time I ends up sometimes I forget about it, and I'm looking around. I think, oh yeah, I need to put my mask on. I'll stick it on, but because of my asthma, I still need to get air into my lungs, so I sometimes don't put my nose up here. But as long as I'm not breathing out from your mouth, because you kind of like breathe more air out from your mouth than your nose, right?
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes I'll have it covered, and if I feel like I'm having a little bit of difficult breathing, I'll pull it down, breathing a couple of times, then pull it over. Yeah. If the bus driver says, you can't be doing that, I can just turn around and show my asthma inhaler. Hey, hang on a minute. I don't even have to wear this, but I'm wearing it to protect me and to protect your customers and even you yourself, the driver, right? Now, if they brought that into law for everyone to wear, then I can understand that. But not everyone's doing it, like you said. How many people do you see with it underneath the nose? How many people do you see, family-wise, husband, wife, single parent, walking around with a mask on, and their kids have got fuck all over their face? Nothing. So who's more at risk then? Their kids. And kids have been known to carry the virus and die from the virus.
Well, they're actually known to be super spreaders, aren't they? Actually, now the issue is that they're the main people carrying it. They might not suffer. They might not be symptomatic of it, and they might not pass away from it, but they're more likely to carry it. Now, what I'm saying is, whether the COVID Act of 2020 stands so they can enact it as being a law or a sub law, if you like, or like a little loophole where they can contort the law. The difficulty comes in enforcing it. How do you enforce it? Because like you said, the amount of people that don't bother wearing a mask and everything. Now, it does mean that if you've got breathing difficulties and things like that, then it does give you a kind of dispensation towards not having to wear a mask. If you get like nicked or whatever because they think that you're not taking the correct steps towards preventative measures of spreading the virus, and you go to court and you go, well, actually, I'm asthmatic, the courts are going to rule in your favor. They're going to go, yeah, absolutely. You're going to have breathing difficulties. You shouldn't have to wear a mask. Use other forms of social distancing. Try and stay away from people. But it's a fair reason not to wear a mask, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you've got breathing difficulty, I think that's fair enough. And I'm pretty sure that everybody does. It's a reasonable thing, isn't it? If you're going to suffer from wearing a mask, then bollocks to the mask. If you're not going around licking people, then everybody's going to be okay, aren't they? You know what I mean?
Give me your hand.
You're not going around sucking people's noses and stuff. I'm pretty sure you're going to be like, okay, but anybody who's listening to this, look it up. Unless they've moved it, in which case I've still got copies of it. I've got a copy of it. The COVID Act of 2020. Read that, because you will. There's a lot of very interesting stuff in there, especially the powers that they've got. Where
how many in this document?
Oh, there's a lot. Oh, they've got it covered, mate.
Fuck that! I ain't gonna sit there watching.
Oh yeah, I have. Yeah, let me tell you, little things like if it's legal for a copper, for a police officer, they haven't started doing it. People are complaining about coppers giving out stupid fines. Well, in this document, the police are allowed to nick you if they think you might have COVID. They can then take you to a police station and force you to be tested for it. That's legal. They're not doing that, and not a lot of people know that they can do that, but it's legal for them to do it.
That's going to put the police resources over, they ain't going to be able to do that, are they?
Which is why they're not doing it, innit? Obviously. But they can. It's legal for them to do it. If you don't agree to go along with them, you're in breach of the law. They can nick you for it and you can be fined for it, but they can force you to be tested. But not a lot of people know that. Do you know what I mean? Not a lot of people know that you can be forced into being tested.
It's going to take time and resources. Like if they are able to do that, then they should give the police, right? They should give the authorities the actual equipment to carry around with them in the back of the car and do an on-spot test instead
they
of
haven't got it, though, have they? They haven't got the money for it. They haven't got the funding for it. I mean, you've just got to look at the testing now has only just been ramped up over the last couple of months, and this law was brought in April last year.
Well, that's when it first kicked off, in it, April.
Well, when was our first lockdown? March the 26th.
April, yeah. So they've done all that in 1 month.
They knew that it needed to be locked down the country because other places were locking down, and they were late doing it. But they knew that they would have to take special law or make a special rules. It's only supposed to last 2 years, by the way, the COVID Act of 2020. Then it has to get voted on again. So technically it runs out in April 2022. But they wrote up that document within a few weeks to give them special laws for any means to control the virus.
You know, I've never had a test. I don't even know where to get a test. I never had no document through my door saying, well, go to your GP. My GP will not see fuck all. My GP's shut down. If I want a medication, they ring me, consultant, telephone consultation. Well, what do you want? They fucked up my prescription last week. I needed my antidepressant tablet, yeah? And I rang it up and I said, look, I need a 30 mil and a 15 mil, yeah? She goes, okay. And she goes, what ones do you want? Because it's not in the system. I said, well, I've been getting these kind of dissolvable ones, which I don't like. They kind of taste bitter and, you know, it's making me feel a bit sick every time I take them. She goes, you don't want the dissolvable ones, you want the solid tablet ones. I said, yeah, the ones I used to take. She goes, okay, I'll put them down, get the doctor to sign it, and it go through your pharmacy, and you can pick them up in a couple of days' time. I went
that's everybody. That's everybody, though.
Yeah.
My doctor's is shut. Everybody's is because they're protecting the NHS, if you like. The doctor, that's everybody, Steve. It's not just you.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying, like, I went round there and they fucked up my medication, right? So I had to go round to the doctors after getting what I could get, and I said, look, you know, I've not got 15 mil. She goes, well, because we're closed, you know, we'll get the doctor to give you a phone call. Now, because of this pandemic, you know, we can't see a doctor. Now, I'm too afraid to even go to the hospital in case there's a very serious, you know, situation in the hospital. You know, there could be 50, 100, couple hundred people with the COVID down there, and I might catch it from there, right? That's why I'm always indoors now, you know. I don't even go out. I've only even been out shopping for 2 weeks, to be honest with you. All I've done is gone around the shop, got my electric key sorted out. I've been sitting indoors playing gaming.
You've less chance of catching it at a hospital than you have being in a shopping centre.
Yeah, I probably would actually. But
that is the truth of it, because the steps that they're taking to try and to clean everything up is, you know, is unbelievable. But as far as the testing goes, you don't know where the testing centre is, and a lot of people don't. You know, the whole idea of it, at least at first, was you don't need to be getting tested anyway unless you're showing symptoms of it.
But, you know, I know a lot of people want to get it tested just in case, like, you know, I sat here with a runny nose because it's bloody cold in here sometimes, like, you know, I'm thinking, well, you know, I'm sniffing. What's next? You know, am I going to be coughing? Am I going to get a violent cough? But, you know, I'll take my ibuprofen, which I'm running that off, so I've got to go and get some more tomorrow. And, you know, I'll try to
Come on, Steve, sorry.
You know, I can't keep myself as best as I can, you know, with medication. You know, I've got to go out and do shopping tomorrow because I'm running out of fucking food and drinks and, you know, medication anyway, like my ibuprofen. So I've got to go out tomorrow. I'll be wearing my mask. But let's say if I did get it, where do I go get a test? I never got no information through the door. No one's phoned me.
You phone your doctors. You phone your doctors, or you can phone 111. There's even a special number for phoning them, I believe. You can order it. There's ways of getting the test if you need to get the test.
Well, if they're giving out all this information about people fucking catching and dying it, why there's not a lot more information on telling you where you can go and get a test?
Well, there is, but the problem is, Steve, is that everybody's believing the story that it doesn't exist. They're too busy staying on Facebook and reading social media from the so-called experts that haven't left their own armchair. Because the information's out there.
If I went out tomorrow and a police officer come up to me and nicked me, right, wearing a mask, he goes, right, we've got to take you down. I'll be willing to take the test. I know I ain't got it, but I ain't got it, but I'll take the test.
I understand that, but to turn around and say, I've typed in Google and I've looked at this and I found this. I found out that such a doctor said this and it doesn't exist, and I've done that, and I've been on the internet and I've done this. Well, it's just as easy to go on the internet and type, "How do I get a COVID test?" But why aren't people doing that? It's just as easy.
Yeah, I
Do you know
know.
what I'm saying? It's just as easy. It's just whether you choose to or not. You can't sit there and say, there's loads of people that have said this, that, and the other because I've read it on the internet, but I don't know how to get a COVID test, when you've got the capability at your very fingertips to type in, how do I get a COVID test?
No, I'll be honest with you, I did try that when it first kicked off, and I could get no information on it whatsoever. So I thought, well, if there's no information, what's the point in looking for it? Maybe over the several months where it's been going on, it's been updated. I've just not really concentrated because I'm usually locked up in my own house anyway. I don't really go out. I don't do my bushcrafting anymore because it's too fucking cold anyway. It's too cold to go out and do anything. I'm sitting indoors playing Mr. Survival. I'm thinking, hey, these survival games are helping me in one way. Because if it does come to that situation where, the virus knocks everyone out, kills everyone, and only certain people are going to be immune to it, and I could be one of those immune to it, at least I know a way to survive out there, And I'm thinking, sitting here playing games is better than going out and passing on the virus if you've got it. So I noticed, well, not noticed, but I've heard that a lot of people are afraid to go out in fear of catching it. So I stay at home and watch a lot more TV or videos or gaming. Now the gaming community has apparently gone, a lot more. People have bought a lot more consoles and everything else, because they've got nothing else to do, sitting indoors. So they do gaming or watching videos or, I don't watch TV. I cancelled my TV license. So I was reading all about the TV license not long ago, saying like, the BBC is like, forcing people to pay the license, and the government's telling them that, they don't need to pay the license, and then the TV licensing group saying, well, if they don't pay the license, we're, get them, tracked down and arrested and make them pay thousands of pounds fines. Well, I thought, what? I don't even watch TV. I'm always online. I'm gaming. So I cancelled my TV license, right? About 3 weeks ago. 2 days after I cancelled it, a letter came from my door. Oh, we've noticed you cancelled your direct debit. Did you know it's against the law to watch TV if you ain't got a license? Please renew your direct debit. I got a letter night in the bin. I reckon watching TV or even catch-up TV is still live streaming, meaning that you're getting a live signal through your internet. And that is, you need a TV license. How can it be live if it's a pre-recorded?
Because you're still watching broadcast.
But the TV license is for TV, like BBC 1, 2, 3, 4.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. If you read, if you haven't got one now, so you can't. But if you read the TV license, it doesn't. A TV license does cover internet streaming and does cover pre-recorded TV shows that were otherwise streamed live. It does.
Well, I cancelled it because the government said that, they are trying to close the BBC down. Not as in like, closing them down to like stream TV and everything, but they think it's unfair for people to pay for the TV license. So that's why everyone else is doing it. I've read like social media, there are tens of thousands of people cancelling their TV license. They need to fund themselves and not the public keep funding them for, 150, was it £150 a year?
Something like that, I believe, yeah.
And I wasn't even watching TV, even streaming. I'm streaming.
I think it is something like that, but mine comes out via direct debit anyway, so I don't really see the figure anymore. Mine's
like £15 a month. Saying like that, each month mine was coming out. Now, if I'm streaming, I'm actually receiving the stream, and I'm actually sending the stream. That's completely different, isn't it?
No, it's still stipulated in the license. It's like saying if I watched a DVD that had been recorded, well, it's already been pre-recorded beforehand, but why do we have to pay for it? And it's like, well, you're still paying for a product in the eyes of the person who made it. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but you pay for the DVD. You can't get charged to watch a DVD on your own computer or your own, TV with a built-in DVD player.
No, but that's the point. You've paid for the DVD. You've paid to watch it.
Yeah, So you're
So
telling
you,
me, right, that every time I go onto a channel, any YouTube channel, Facebook channel, although it's pre-recorded, like if you've done a video yesterday and I watched your video from yesterday, I need to pay for that.
no, you don't have to pay for it for me because I'm not the BBC. And
I've got to
YouTube is free anyway. If you look at if you go on YouTube and try to watch TV shows, but the channel that's produced that particular show, like say like it's an old BBC show from the 1960s, and they've tried to put it up on their YouTube channel, you'll see that they've put a watermark on it, or they've zoomed in on the screen so that it doesn't get a copyright
yeah,
strike, because you have to go to the BBC's own channel to do it.
yeah.
You
Or
know,
again on YouTube, you can go like I saw a notification the other day. They've put all the James Bond movies on YouTube free now.
Mhm.
So if I want to watch a James Bond movie, have I still got to pay for my TV license, although it's under YouTube?
No, not if it's under YouTube, because it hasn't been streamed by the BBC, or you're not watching a BBC controlled channel, or what was, or in the old days, terrestrial TV. That's down to the copyright of the film producers, the film company that made it, who
So
own the copyright to that
if I go to
show.
any social media channel, whether it be a channel that streams TV, right, and it's not under the BBC. Like, let's say you go to a channel which streams like Prime, for instance. You get Prime videos on there, right?
Yeah, but this is an irrelevance, because you're talking about a TV license. Now you've gone on to internet streaming. What I'm saying is, Steve, if it's BBC on demand, or it's
Yeah,
any ITV thing, which is a digital streaming version of what would be covered by a TV license, then it's covered by a TV license. If it's not, then obviously you don't have to pay a TV license or use a TV license to watch it. You can't be done for having a computer and watching videos on your computer via live streaming,
say
but
that's what.
only if it's controlled by the BBC or the TV
If
licensing
I go
company.
to like the BBC channel and watch, any of their BBC videos, then yeah, I'm going to have to pay for a TV license to watch their
Obviously,
video. But if it's under Prime, YouTube, Twitter, any other kind of social media that streams movies, documentaries, and stuff like that, that's what I was getting a bit worried about. Like if I'm able to watch a stream of a documentary, right? Some streams you have to pay, some channels you have to pay membership for, like Prime, for instance. Yeah, I've already got a membership, so I shouldn't have to pay for a license to watch something I've already paid for. Right, because I'm paying for my membership, I should be able to watch X amount of videos on there. There are still videos on Prime which I had to pay for if I want to watch it. Like I watched Terminator.
what's this? Is this Amazon Prime?
Yeah.
Right now,
Right.
did you pay for Amazon Prime?
Yeah, I pay for it every month, $7.99.
Right, so you've paid to watch them then, have you not?
Yeah.
Yeah, so there you go. So anything that Amazon streams, if you've paid for doing it, then you've paid for doing it. You've
Yeah.
paid for their stream, but it's not a
There are
BBC broadcast or TV on demand. That's what your TV license covers you for.
because there are certain videos on there that you still don't get to watch. Like, let's say I watched Terminator Schwarzenegger yesterday.
Mhm.
I watching those old movies again. But when I went to look for Terminator 2, it's like it wasn't a free movie. You had to pay like an extra £3.50 to rent it, or like £5 to own it.
Yeah,
So
there you go.
that, kind of thing. Because I thought I was going to get all the movies free, but you only get like a percentage, probably like 50% of what Prime uses. And it's like with YouTube, if you want to watch someone's channel, it doesn't matter if it's monetized or not. There's going to be videos under their channel which you can't watch unless you join a membership fee. Yeah, like my one, for instance.
Of course.
Membership fee, and I stopped it. Well, it's still there, but no one's signed up for it, so I don't do it anymore. It's like with YouTube. You've got certain channels where they will stream, original movies, old documentaries, black and white videos, where you can watch them free.
Yeah.
But there are X amount of videos where you still have to pay for it to watch on YouTube. And it's like that all through the internet, on social media. And I'm thinking, well, hang on, if I go onto YouTube and watch like, Death Wish 3, and it's free, that's a pre-recorded video that YouTube has access to. and own the rights to actually stream it. Now,
Yeah, providing that the channel that's streaming it has got those rights to stream it. Otherwise, they've got a copyright infringement and they've stole it.
Well, we usually wouldn't do copyright, I don't think. So, like, if like the free was there, and I had to pay for it, then fair enough, I had to pay for it. If it isn't, if it's there and I don't have to pay for it, then I'm thinking, hang on a minute, if it's free, do I still have to pay my TV license? Because it's not under the TV, BBC, is it?
Not if it's not run by your TV license, of which all the information is contained within your TV license. You see, what you need to be more concerned about is your TV license is the fact that there's such a thing known as the BBC World Service.
Yeah.
And that goes out around everywhere around the world. That's both TV and radio. And no other country pays for it. Britain pays for the BBC. We fund the rest of the world to have the BBC World Service. That's what you need to be more concerned about, because that's the biggest rip-off.
Yeah. Well, you need a license for watch live TV on your phone, apparently.
Yeah, that's true.
You need mobile, tablet, even.
Yeah. If you're receiving live TV that's broadcast by any of the channels that are under Ofcom, then you need a TV license to receive it on any device, whether it's a mobile device, home computer, or TV.
Tablet, smartwatch.
Yep.
And you do get smartwatches with built-in TV, because I had one. I even got a phone which has got TV built into it, but it came from China, and I couldn't tune into hardly any channels on it. So that was a bit of a bugger.
Sounds about right. That, yeah.
It said it's supposed to be analog at the time. I bought it, God knows how long ago. So I thought I'd pick some channels up, which I did, but they seem to be foreign ones. So wasted of bloody fucking spending that on the phone, which I thought I could watch live TV on. What I used to do, I used to be able to get applications. You download onto your tablet or on your computer, and it give you a list of different live streaming worldwide, TV, documentaries, news broadcasts, movie sites and stuff like that. I used to use them, but you still had to pay for the application to download it.
Yeah.
And when I inquired about it, even if you pay for the application, if it's streaming and live stream in the UK, like if I tuned into the BBC and watched like the BBC News 24 hour or whatever, I still need the license for that, even though I pay for the application.
Yeah, because it's a separate thing. The application is just the application to receive broadcast, but you're paying for the actual broadcast because of TV licensing. If it's under Spectrum licensing or under Ofcom, which is what dictates what's covered by your TV license, then you need a license for it, whether it's terrestrial or digital, and any means with which to receive it, because that's what you're paying for, is the means to receive. You're paying for the receiver, the means to be able to receive it. Whether you choose to not watch it or not is irrelevant. It's the fact that you've got the means to receive it, because you can say, oh, I don't watch it, and then as soon as they've gone out the door, you do watch it. Because how many people do that? Let's have it right. I don't want a TV license. Fuck them, and sit there and watching TV. Millions around the country do it, so they're all over that. They know people do that all the time, don't they? That's why you hear all them.
I think the government has said, it's about time, the BBC funding themselves and stop the public funding them. That's all we're doing, funding them. And what do we get back? We don't get fuck all. It's always repeat after repeat after repeat. I'll seriously tell you, right, I remember this. There's one time I watched a movie and it was streamed on, like satellite, on digital TV. I think it's BBC 4, Channel 4 or something like that, which, the BBC runs and owns all that kind of crap, They viewed that video, that movie, 6 times in 1 month. And I'm thinking, I'm paying for fucking repeats. Repeat. Yeah, how many times do you see a new movie, that's just come out in the cinemas, being streamed on TV? How many new documentaries are coming out?
Well, the thing is there is a reason that they don't, and that's because the home videos have died because of the internet. They could allow TV companies to stream new movies or within a few months of release at one time, because the film companies that made the movies would get money back from video releases, from videotapes or DVDs. But now every fucker watches them online. or nix them off the internet. So they don't make money that way anymore. That source of income has gone from the TV and film industry. So instead, they charge internet channels to stream them, and that's how they get money back. Otherwise, they don't make any money from doing it. The old blockbuster video stores have all gone, haven't they? Where are they anymore? They've all gone. People don't buy VHS cassettes.
I'd rather pay a subscription to Prime or some other channel and watch what I want when I want to watch it instead of repeats and things that I can't watch because I don't put it on fucking, the BBC channels or whatever channels they own. And I know the government is trying to stop the BBC, maintenance pay for the license, which I think is a good idea. That's the only thing I do like about the government is trying to stop, the BBC charging us, the amount of money we have to pay each year to watch just total bullshit, repeats all the time. So I hope they passed the law and BBC had to fund their own way of doing it. We've fucking funded them for, since bloody BBC even started, from the first radio station, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
We've been funding them all this time. They've got how many? Look, if you had 2 billion people in this country, yeah, all right, 2 billion people paying, £150 per year, all right. How much is that?
About 3 trillion.
Yeah, 3 trillion. And they reckon that if they had if they get cancelled, we stop paying their TV license, it's going to put them, in the red. It's going to, they're trying to even get the grant from the government, $2 trillion each year, because they're behind on their payments themselves. So what's happened to all the money we've been paying into them?
That's what I just said. iStarlight UK, you pay for receiving the broadcast, not for the TV itself. If you've got the means to receive it, then you need a license in the eyes of Ofcom and Spectrum licensing, and it doesn't matter what that is, whether it's a phone, a laptop, a TV, it could be a toaster as far as they're concerned. If you can receive a broadcast on it, a sausage muffin, they don't give a shit. If you can receive a TV signal on it, then you owe money. I mean, I'm not trying to defend it because I think it's totally outdated and should be done away with and always have.
Yeah, I have. I'm not paying for it. I stopped it last month. And it's like 2 days after I stopped it, I'll get a letter through the post saying, "Oh, we noticed that you cancelled your TV license contract. Please renew it by updating your direct debit. Watching the TV without a license is against the law, and you can end up with a criminal charge and fine and imprisonment." And the TV police can come and knocking on the door. I thought, well, let them come knocking on my door. They can only arrest you, apparently, by law, if you've got an aerial connected to your TV.
No, it's not true. That it's not true. No, it's not true that, because you've still got the means to receive it, because the receiver and decoder isn't part of the aerial. Because that's like saying you can't get arrested if you've got coax. Well, you can. I'm a ham radio operator, so I've got a license for amateur radio, and that doesn't defend me. If I haven't got an aerial up in the sky, it doesn't mean that I can just have a radios in. You know what I mean? It's still classed as that I've got the capability of receiving and transmitting, because the receiver and transmitter are built into the radio on the desk. And that's another good point. You have to have one for a radio, and technically speaking, you do. So if you want to receive digital audio broadcasting, you're supposed to have a license for that.
Well, I know with the CB radio, you used to have had to have a license, but they've done away with that now, didn't they?
Well, nobody bought one. That's why. you were supposed to have one, but very few people did.
On FM, once so bad, but if you had an AM one, which was illegal, apparently, you had to buy an AM CB radio license. And yeah, that used to be pretty expensive to buy each year. But
you can use SSB and AM on CB radio now. It's changed. Yeah. You've also got the European channels are allowed as well now in the UK.
I was thinking of buying another CB radio, but I ain't got nowhere to stick an antenna apart from the balcony, I suppose. But I don't really want a massive, great big, 20-foot fucking antenna sticking outside my house.
Yeah, you could use 6-foot mobile fire stick or something like that, Steve. You'd get on your balcony with a ground plane. If you stuck a sheet of metal out there, you could do it.
I could even stick a fucking antenna on my my heater. They're ground it down.
Yeah, people have done that back. Yeah, it's doable.
No, I was
I don't
thinking
know.
about one, but going back on as my old handle, Blue Thunder. And the only reason I called myself Blue Thunder because I loved watching that Blue Thunder documentary. The TV series that came out. Loved watching that. So I thought, I do a chat. I bought one, and I thought, well, what can I call myself? What can I call myself? And at the time, I was watching Blue Thunder. It's about that helicopter. I thought,
All right, yeah, I remember it. Yeah,
I don't know, call myself Blue Thunder. And yeah, any breaks on the 19, want a coffee? This is Blue Thunder here. Come on back, good buddies. And I'll tell you, I used to have a Midland handheld with an antenna and a car battery stuck on my bike, on a push bike. I had a bike rack, I had the battery on the back, I had an antenna, cable coming out into the back of the handheld because it used to be one of those portable handheld ones. I used to ride over from where I used to live in Jordan's Wood over to the motorway, and I used to sit there on the footbridge going, "Hey, good buddy in the yellow truck, just going,
good buddy.
are you open for a chat? Yeah, good buddy. What's it like on the motorway at the moment? There's a backlog about 5 miles away, bit of a pain in the arse, good buddy. Well,
I don't know.
Well, you've just gone under me. I'm on the footbridge on a push bike. Okay, roger that. Then suddenly you'll hear another bike come through. I'm just coming past there, good buddy. I'll give you a hoot. It's really good fun, I tell you. Met a few
in the 80s, especially in maybe into the early 90s. I don't know what it's like now. CB, like I say, I'm radio operator. I don't go on CB. I've done CB years ago, but
I used to have a CB radio at work when I used to do security. I had a little cabin down there, and I found a car battery, because the industrial site had bits of fucking things laying around. Found a car battery, got permission to take it, saved me bringing one down from home. And I used to bring my CB down. I stuck the antenna on top of the roof, and I used to talk on that during the night time. Never got in trouble. My employers, the security company, didn't mind me doing it as long as I was more servant, and it was there to help me in case if the property was being robbed. I could always call out for some kind of assistance from mobile truckers that might have been going past at the time. But I used to chat around on that quite a few times. Met a few of my girlfriends on there as well. Quite a few many eyeballs, as we call it. Hey, fancy
I remember. Want to meet up for an eyeball?
Yeah, my dad used to have one in the car. Me and my dad used to go out. Anyone fancy an eyeball? Yeah, where are you? Oh, we're Dartford. Oh, we're in Dartford. Fancy an eyeball? Yeah, okay, we'll meet up. And we used to just have drive down and meet up with a few people, chat to them, be friendly. Oh, next time you come around, this area, fancy coming around for a cup of tea or coffee? Give us a shout. So I met a few of my girlfriends on as well. I loved it. I keep. I had that handle CB for years. I sold it about 3 years ago because I wasn't using it. I wish I never sold it now because I could have used that.
You still get them, still knocking about.
Still get them on. I've looked on eBay. You can get brand new ones with 80 channel AM FM for about 60 quid now.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I told you. We got the 40 old 2781 channels as they were known, the 40 UK FM as it used to be, and also the 40 European channels. People used to have an alphas and midnights back in the day, when you didn't used to be able to transmit on that other 40 channels. But yeah, it's 80 legal channels now, and you can have AM and SSB where you couldn't at one time.
So I know when they first came out, well, it's probably a few years after, I knew a guy called Steve. He used to go to a different school to me, but he used to build pirate radio stations, and I actually had one off him, and I used to run the pirate radio station at the same place I was running my CB radio. Well, what I'd do was that if I weren't using the CB, I'd just flick the antenna over onto the radio station, use the same antenna, and it got me out. But apart from him building pirate radio stations, he was able to upgrade CB radios. So if you had a standard 40 or 80 channel, he could put crystal chips in to give you another 40 channel AM or 40 channel FM, or you could do it you had 40 channel normal FM then he put a switch on the side, so you get 40 up and a 40 down.
Yeah, the alpha. That's the alphas and midnight channels, as they're known as. Yeah.
And then he put another chip in where you could receive 120 channel AM, so you'd have the normal 40 channel AM, 40 up and 40 low. And he used to like charge not a lot. I'd say like 50 quid each one he done. And like, you know, depending on how many channels and depending on the actual CV itself. But he done that for me one time as well. I didn't want AM because I thought, you know, AM, you know, a bit dicey, you know, a little bit illegal. So I just got him to put like the 40 upper and lower on FM. Only cost me 20 quid to do.
But originally, when CB come into the UK, it was AM. It was originally AM. It got changed to FM by the government because it was a less chance of causing interference to nearby stations. If you go on the third harmonic of CB is about 27.8125 meg, so call it 20, just shy of 28 meg. So the third harmonic of 28 meg is 54 megahertz, and at that time you had emergency services that used 50 megahertz. So you get some guy who's running a burner, as they used to call them back in the day, and they're transmitting on AM. They're smashing all over the neighbour's TV set for a start because it's destroying the neighbour.
I used to get my neighbour next door. You know, I used to like have a burner on my one, right? And I used to be bleeding over my mate David, Dave Mossy, who I've got a picture of, who died years ago. Yeah, he used to have one. We used to just talk to each other because we originally started off with a little walkie-talkies, but then when we heard about CBs, we both bought CBs. We used to be talking to each other. That's how we got to meet our girlfriends and stuff like that. But sometimes I forgot I turned the burner on. I bleed over his channel. He bleed over mine, and we was like a quarter mile away from each other, and we're knocking each other's channels out. And then sometimes you get Valerie or Peter, who used to be our next door neighbour, banging on the wall, coming around saying, "Can you turn your fucking radio off? You're bleeding over my TV."
Yeah. He squashed the picture. I'll leave like a herringbone pattern all over the TV signal.
Sorry, Peter, I've turned it down a little bit. You know, just let me know it continues and like it ease up. But for some reason, during the later time in the evening, it like burn over their channel again. And I'm thinking,
I bet it did.
Down. I turned it all the way down, so I can wait until I go to bed, so I can go on during the like early hours of the evening, like early hours of the morning. But there was one time, right, I was using my channel, my CB radio, and I had the burner on, and people said that you wouldn't be able to get, you know, reach another country. But I actually reached fucking France, and I was talking to some guy in France, Calais, an English guy. And I said, well, how do I know I'm actually talking to someone in France? Well, I promise you we're talking to someone in France. You know, the signal was only like 1 or 2 on the meter. I spoke to a few people who knew the guy, you know, over the few weeks. I was talking to people and they said, yeah, he was really talking to someone. Because it's all to do with the, you know, the conditions, the, you know, aerophonics or whatever.
I know exactly what you're talking about, Steve. Yeah.
You know, the transitions. Because, yeah, you wouldn't be surprised that you can hit France from when you are. And, like, some people said that they've hit Spain, Italy, just on a normal fucking coax area.
Yeah, it's down to the propagation, and it's the ionosphere. It's the ionosphere. How ionized the different layers of the ionosphere are. You're totally reliant upon propagation. But I don't so much now, but I have used Morse. You know, I can do Morse, and when I done Morse code, I would only need 1 or 2 watts, and I've spoke all around the world. I've made contact with. Put it this way, I've contacted more countries than have not contacted more countries, if that makes any sense. You know, and that's just on a couple of watts. Pardon?
I wouldn't know how to. The only thing I know on Morse is -- ..
Yeah, somebody will come and save you.
That's all I know. And now I've got a movie, one of the wartime movies where the submarine was being sunk and they had to send the SOS out.
Yeah, it's ... Yeah,
anyway, I'll go through. Emergency call to the bathroom. Dash, 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 dot, dot, dot.
Yeah, dash to the bathroom. So we've got. What about if you hotspot from your phone to TV? Do you need a license for that? I think if anything, you'd need a broadcast license, but I don't think you do because you're dealing with milliwatts. And if you've already paid for the service, you're just streaming it to another device where you can receive something using your Wi-Fi. Britain as cultural capital, and you guys ought to use that in a positive way. We've been doing that for hundreds of years, Hyde, by stealing other people's golden islands and subjugating them and trying to enforce our will upon them. So, is it culture? Not so sure about that. I style like UK. Hi. This isn't the first time that he's pulled this kind of stunt, by the way, leaving me to carry things, you know. Disappearing. You still there, Jane? And Shrimp, did I see Shrimp before? I thought I was like, yes, I did. Hello, Shrimp, if you're still watching. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, Nelson there. Yeah, exactly. You should bear more of a grudge than other people. Nah. Time's moved on, yeah. Yeah, it is all in the past. It's all in the past. A lot of things are, though, aren't they? I suppose, like you said before, it's how you cultivate it for the future. And if indeed you do cultivate it for the future, shut up. Cat's driving me mad, man. That sounded like Herman Munster, didn't it? Coming in the room, then clump, clump, clump. Oh, you Herman. Unbelievable, this, isn't it? You see, he'll have nipped off now to get some munchies and make himself a brew, you know. I'm sat here farting feathers and coughing up dust. Who else is there, by the way? If there's who else is in the chat or paying attention or sneakily watching without making themselves known? Who's around? Give us a shout. Who's out there? Oh, you're still there, Ian. I said, well, I sort of expected that, to be fair. Lingering. So we got Ian, we got Hyde, we got iStarlight UK. Jane was there earlier. Don't know if she still is. Oof. Jane is still there. Do you think the vaccine works? No. I think the vaccine will protect us against this strain of the virus.
I don't think so.
I think it'll keep mutating and it'll be like the flu and we'll have to be vaccinated against it every year.
We get vaccinations every time, but what happens? Go to the doctors. Constantly, every week, I get a message saying, don't get your flu jab. I never had a flu jab, until one day I decided to take the flu jab. Before then, any flu I caught was, I was like immune to it,
You're not immune to the flu, mate. Nobody is.
I sometimes I have a sniffle or a cough for a couple of days, but antibiotics help that. Cost weeks. Ibuprofen, whatever I say, was helping me. The one time I took a flu jab, 6 weeks illness because the minute of that the thing they put into that fucking injection.
Yeah, it's not true that, Steve.
Well, I went ill for 6 weeks, mate.
Yeah, you probably did, and it's probably a very unfortunate coincidence. But they don't inject you with live cultures of the flu to give you flu.
Seriously, when I spoke to the doctors about this, I spoke to one of the nurses, and she said they do put a minute of.
It's dead though. It's not active. It's the protein. So that your immune system recognizes the protein. It's not enough to make you ill. It's just enough. It's just enough to make your body recognize that protein as being something it should fight, so that when you do get it, that information's already stored within your immune system to fight it off.
Well, I'm being honest with you. That one time I took it, I was sick for 6 weeks, and after that, last 3 years, I've not taken it, and I've been perfectly okay.
And for these last 3 years, you might not have caught the flu anyway.
Well, I'm always
have you had the flu in the last 3 years?
I wouldn't like to say if I've or not. I've had like coughs and sneezes, and I've had like the cold sweat sometimes, but that's the cold sweat for nightmares probably.
So the answer to that is no, then, isn't it? Because you know about it when you've got the flu. It's not a cough or a cold or a bit of a sniffle.
Mm-hmm. But I was just going to say before you went on to that, do you think ham radio and CBs are going the way the dinosaur went, extinct? So I reckon we should keep these. Although it's old technology, if we ever do get one of those situations, an apocalypse, we're going to need those fucking radios, and that's why I'm thinking of buying one in case. In case of the pop.
I'm listening. Go on.
If it happens, who's gonna keep the generator running for gas and electric? Energy. That's all going to go down. We're going to have to
who's going to keep the power going for you to charge your batteries for your radio or to produce more batteries when they run out, though?
Well, you get a generator, don't you?
How are you going to get the fuel for that generator?
You go out scavenging, don't you? Just like
right. Well, there you go then. So you don't really need a radio to go scavenging. What you need is a load of other people with radios that you can talk to.
Well, yeah. We're going to have to try to keep in touch with people who survived the pandemic or the apocalypse. You're going to get, like on Resident Evil, where you're going to get these snarky little arseholes in a radio station pretending that they need help. And when you get there, they try to kill you so they can eat you. But
the thing is you're not going to get that, are you, though, because everybody's too busy stuck on the phone. So they're not radios. I mean, I've seen this as a ham radio operator. The less people using certain modes of communication, because everybody's stuck on a mobile phone. So are you going to get?
Who's going to run the equipment, the software, when everyone's dead to keep your mobile phone running? Like you
that's my point, though. That's my very point, though. But everybody is used to using a mobile phone, not a radio.
Yeah, but if you think about it, what ways are they communicating at the moment, apart from CB and ham radio? The internet is the biggest resource, isn't it, really?
Oh, so absolutely.
If that goes down, there's no more video conferencing. There's no more live, conferencing. Once that's gone down, mobile phones go down. What else is there?
Yeah, but if everybody's dead, then that's the least of your concerns, isn't it? Whether you can get an internet signal.
Get people who probably might be immune to whatever has kicked off the apocalypse. You're going to get people who have bunkers, live in bunkers. They know that the world's come to the end, or you might have people. You're going to
have a load of people that are going to be dead. You're going to have a load of people that are going to be panicking, and the only people that are living in bunkers are people that have either prepped or people that are in positions of authority that are hiding away from people who have survived. So no, you're not going to want to. Your biggest concern is going to be finding food and fresh water and somewhere to live, rather than an internet signal or a radio in it, I think.
Well, I can always grab one. Find a car if it's still functional, or a push bike. And I'll just go up to my bushcraft and camp up over there. I ain't going to have nothing here. There ain't going to be no TV, internet, mobile phone service. If there's going to be hordes of zombies running around.
Zombies.
I'm going to have to find a way to get into my bushcraft and locking myself up in there. There's water flow. He's got taps there. There's probably going to be a lake around there somewhere, There's wild deer that run around there as well, Dave, up where my bushcraft is. I've actually caught that on wildlife cam. They
And what are you
and
going to? How are you going to get them, Steve?
build traps,
A trap for a deer.
make spears, bow and arrow. Back to the
It's
same way.
going to have to be some substantial trap, brother, to stop a deer in it.
I've watched videos. I guarantee you, I've watched videos on how you can capture a deer with a trap.
As have I. As have I. Yeah.
You know, I won't
I
go.
wouldn't-
There's one thing I would not do in a zombie apocalypse:
oh
go
shit!
around
Go on.
hunting for a fucking gun, because that's going to attract the zombies or infected or whatever is going to attack you during the day and night if you're going to shoot them. Once you shoot one, every other fucker is going to know about you, and they're going to come swarming over you and start chopping you up, you know, munching you. I'm
Yeah.
going to go the silent way. I'm going to find a machete, an axe. Well, I've got an axe up there anyway. It's just a small hand axe, but you know, I can go and buy or scavenge. I think me landowner's got a proper big handle wooden axe. Get that, you know, craft myself a bow and arrow. You know, walk around a bit like what's that one on that movie? Oh God,
What movie?
not the Resident Evil one, the Tomb Raider, where she
Oh
walks.
right.
Got like, you know, but she got the old. What's that other one? A bit like, oh, what's his fucking name? The
I don't
vampire.
know. Evil Dead.
No, not that one. He goes around killing zombies. Not zombies, vampires. Blade.
Oh yeah, Wesley Snipes.
Yeah, try to find some swords. You know, I'm pretty sure there's a few people with swords in their house or machetes or something. You know, especially farmers. You know, try to go around and find a couple of machetes, put them on your back. Axe on your side.
That's the thing. That's the thing. Everybody, British farmers are famous for having swords. You know,
I know someone who had swords.
it's like a 17th century feudal Japan over here.
Probably a few people with swords. Yeah. I wouldn't want a Japanese one. I don't care, you know, what sword it is or fucking machete. You know, as long as it's something that can kill other infected. But yeah, I'll have like the song. I'll be the stalker. I'll be stalking the fucking infected instead of them stalking me. I'll be trying to make my camp nice and secure. You know, they might smell the smoke of the fire, you know, while I'm cooking a bit of reindeer or rabbit or fox or something. They probably might smell that, but you know, I'll have my base fortified. I'll have those wooden spikes everywhere, all around the camp. I'll have like
Fantastic.
I'll have trenches around, so if they try, I'll have like a tripwire, so they trip over the tripwire and they fall flat forward in front of the trench where you've got these great big wooden spikes. You know, land in their face. You know, I'll be ready for them little fuckers. I'll be burning them up. Oh dear, I'll be damned by the time that happens.
I'm sure you'll be completely fine. What I'll do is I'll just head down to your neck of the woods to like try and get a bacon butty while you're out fighting zombies. Then.
Yeah, well, it won't be bacon. I don't think it might be a pony butty sandwich or. You know, you've got
Whatever works.
Deer sandwich.
Deer sandwich, venison.
Bit of
venison sandwich. Yeah.
Yeah, what you told me about it, I thought, nah, there ain't no fucking deer around. He's probably porcupine, you know. But when I put that wildlife cam up and I brought it on one day, I seriously caught two videos of two deer right beside my encampment at night time, and one ran in the same location during the daytime. Well, fucking hell, there is deer here. Well, I'll be okay with the zombie apocalypse. Try to, like, you know, get them and corral them and breed them. Hopefully they don't come with any kind of virus and affect me and make me into a crazed lunatic like I am already. But, you know.
Yeah, well, you said that before I got it in, didn't you? You thought, if I don't say it, he will, that bastard on the other side there, he'll say it.
Hang on a minute. I'll also probably might have to hunt around many houses which ain't infected during the daytime. Because some infected come out at night time, you know, and not daytime. So I'd have to find out when they're more active and go out when they're not active to try and find a vehicle which has got CB radio in. And then I can grab the CB radio and try to communicate with any living. Have they still got headphone sockets on the CB radios?
I think most people on CB are zombies. Oh, no, did I say that? Yeah, I believe that they have a headphone out or something. I suppose it depends upon what you get.
I thought fucking ham radio operators were a bit crazed, actually, the way they fucking communicate. This is Alpha Romeo Charlie Delta 1590 Delta Charlie calling Alpha Delta Charlie 22916. Brother Romeo, are you there? Why don't you just... Hey, Dave, you there, mate? That's it. What's all this phonetic code shit that you have to go through?
Well, because not every country in the world speaks our language. Now, that's the problem, you see. A lot of people go on radio and just assume that the rest of the world knows perfect English, which is pretty ignorant, and we don't. You know, the chances are most people know their own language. You put it this way, right? You're more likely that an English person doesn't know a foreign language than a foreign person knowing English. Not everybody, because I know a couple of bits of other languages through being on radio. And the thing is propagation. When you said before you spoke to somebody in another country, you spoke to somebody in France, it was a rare occasion.
Yeah.
Now that's because the conditions don't last long. The condition of me speaking to somebody in China might only last for a minute or two before the signal drops out and I've lost them forever. Yeah. Now, I don't want to be saying, yo, all right, mate, I've just been watching Coronation Street. I've just munched on an egg and bacon sarnie. It was fucking brilliant, dude. How are you doing? Do you want a brew or what? Because they haven't got a clue what I'm talking about for a start. They've only learnt basic English with which to talk to me. And because they haven't got time for that length of conversation, because the conditions are going to drop. So I give me call sign. And they think, aha, that guy's from England.
Yeah.
So your call sign tells them straight away what country you're from.
Yeah.
Yeah. Without you having to say it. So even if, say, for instance, your call sign was, I don't know, STE for STE, yeah, mine's DAV. I have got one, but I'm not telling you what it is. It's DAV for... It's my call sign's Mike 0 Sierra Alpha Delta M0 SAD. Yeah, not that anybody cares, but there it is. So if I was talking to you, I'd say, this is M0 SAD. So straight away you're going to think, aha, this is a British station. And I go, name is Dave Delta Alpha Victor Echo, because you might not know what Dave is. Dave could be Dave, Steve, whatever. So you think, yeah, exactly. So you think, Delta Alpha Victor Echo, his name is Dave or Dave or whatever interpretation they have. And I go, your signal is 5 and 9, meaning readability 5 and strength 9 on the needle on the meter. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then you'll say, my name is Steve, because I've just made you foreign for some reason. And you say to me, you say to me, your signal strength is 5 and 9 as well. And it's like, okay, great. Now, go on.
So I'm just saying hello to Selena.
When conditions are good, and on some frequencies, we don't do all that, Steve. We'll sit there actually just chatting for hours about regular stuff like people do on CB.
Yeah, I know, but, I can understand a call sign, you're giving your handle name, but why so fucking long?
In the call sign, you mean?
Yeah.
Because like I said, you might not understand what it is. Hi, Selena, are you okay? Because when you hear, it's the interpretation. M can sound like N. And S can sound like F. And A can sound like E over a radio in bad conditions.
Yeah, well, some letters sound a bit weird, like, my I.
Exactly. So you've just proved my point, which is why you pronounce it phonetically. Sierra.
Yeah, I know the phonetic code, but why so fucking long? Like, if you've got like DAV 1992,
that's CB bullshit. That's not what it is. Like I said, the first bit is M0 is my level of call.
Mouthful.
M0 is my level of call on the country that I'm from. So M means that I'm from Britain. 0 means that I'm an advanced call, and the SAD bit is unique to me. So there's lots of M0s, but they'll all have there might be an M0 STE, an M0 UNP, an M0 LKA. Do you know what I mean? And the M bit is the country, the 0 is the level of call sign, and then the 3 letters after is unique to that individual operator. And every country has one. What?
I'd rather stick to a CB radio than fucking Sideman.
Well, and that's it. And most CB radio operators can only talk within their own town because CB is a shit band.
Not unless you've got some burners running in the background, then you can get out, halfway across the country sometimes.
But power doesn't mean anything. Height is might with signals, with radio signals. If the propagation in there, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, but you could fucking stick your bloody antenna to a 50-foot antenna and still get out only halfway across the fucking street.
Because of propagation, which is what I just said. If the conditions aren't right, it doesn't matter. I've worked around the world on just a couple of watts. And then I've got a linear amplifier here, which will do 1.5 kilowatts.
Don't go into that with me. I don't know
right.
With kilowatts and watts and amps and all that shit.
I don't run it at 1.5 kilowatts. But if I did, if the conditions aren't there, I'm not going to reach Japan. But when the conditions are right, I can reach Japan with only 10 watts. So,
hey, bro, hey, I know you're in Japan, mate, but what's the apocalypse like over there? Oh, shit, mate, 10 people being eaten every minute, yeah? Oh, okay. Not so bad here in the UK. Probably about 5 per minute. So we're better off than you. What would you actually talk about on a fucking apocalypse? Where are you? China.
That's it. And that's all you've got to talk about. Where are you at? Is everybody dead? And then that's you done.
Yeah.
Have you got any bacon? Have you got any tea bags? Can I borrow a bit of sugar? Something like that.
Can you send them over? Well, who's going to fry some bacon and fucking tea bags over to you from China to the United Kingdom?
There you go. So you're knackered. You may as well go out and eat dead zombie meat, really.
Yeah. Nice bit of buttered dead zombie. Don't worry about the infection afterwards.
Yeah, as long as you get a full stomach, you can deal with your arms and legs dropping off and the need to want to eat brains afterwards.
Become a cannibalism.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
What was that other movie I was thinking about?
Angela's back. She couldn't stay away.
Yeah. I think, who was it? Someone mentioned about pandemic. That was based on the actual COVID. There was a movie, a Chinese movie, if I believe, which was aired 8 years ago. And that was to do with COVID. And everything in that movie has come true. Everything.
Well, that's because it's a pandemic, isn't it? It's pretty obvious what's going to happen during the pandemic. We've had plenty throughout history. In
the movie, they actually named it as the viral infection of COVID-19.
Well, that's because COVID just means coronavirus disease. That's 19, all.
They said 19, and they actually saying it 19 now.
All right. Oh, is it tinfoil that time again, yeah?
I think this was all fucking prescribed. This was all planned. That's what I see. All planned. All planned, mate. Can't prove it.
Well, I don't know about that.
I think it was planned. That's all I can say about it.
It's propagate. I starlight. It's propagation. It's not. It's power's nothing to do with it. If there isn't enough if the ionosphere isn't right and the prop's not right, your signal's not going to carry it. It bounces. That's why CB operators call it skip, and it's how many times your signal hits the ionosphere, comes back down to Earth, is refracted back off the Earth, and goes back to the ionosphere again and bounces around the world. You might get 3 to 5, but an average transmission is for like 10,000 kilometers when you're using SSB. So if you're getting 3 to 4 bounces and your signal's getting gradually weaker as it does it, as you've got 3 to 4 of them, you can say that each skip or each bounce is about 3,000 to 4,000 K. What? Say again, Steve.
I didn't say nothing.
All right.
I was just checking Starlight's channel. We ain't got no content on there, so.
What you need, Steve, is a CB what's got about 50,000 watts in it and standing on the top of the hill.
What hill? There's no hill around here.
You see, you're knackered then, lad.
Yep.
Get on the top of a block
No,
of
I'm
flats.
seriously thinking about getting another CB radio, not because a possibility of an apocalypse, but I missed it in one week. I used to have good fun on there. Got to meet people.
Mm.
But why need a CB when you can do it online? Streaming like we are now. You get to know people, meet people, you see our faces.
Yeah.
You don't really need it, but if it happens and we lose, power, then that's the only way you're going to communicate is through CB or ham radio, isn't it? Walkie talkies. It's not that I need one desperately. I've just thought about getting another one, but I am a little bit concerned, blasting out people's TVs. But I don't think a normal CB nowadays would actually interfere with the TVs. I think they've with technology.
People aren't using terrestrial TV now. It's digital, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it's less of a concern. It's one of the reasons why ham radio operators don't need to keep a logbook anymore, because the only reason for keeping a logbook legally in the old days, and obviously people kept them so they knew who they'd been in contact with and they could brag about how many countries they'd spoke to. But really it was to keep a record of when you were transmitting, in case anybody complained about you being on the radio. You could say, well, actually, I wasn't transmitting on that day. I wasn't doing this, that, and the other. If you got a knockoff British Telecom, as it was back then, or Ofcom.
I know what I was going to say. There's a true paranormal video out. It was on My Ghost Story or something here, where there's a guy who used to use ham radio, and he always used to communicate with certain people to keep in touch. Yeah, and one day he said to one of his friends that he was going to go out and he'd be back later. Well, because the call sign that you use, like Alpha Romeo Delta and blah blah blah, yeah. He said, he spoke to his friend and said, look, I'll be back later on tonight. I'll call you later on tonight. So he was expecting him to call back later on that night, yeah. But he never received the radio call. So he thought, well, maybe he forgot. So his friend tried to communicate with him the next day, right? Still no communication. So he thought he'd give it another day. Still no communication. So he started getting a bit panicky. He got in touch with the local authorities, and he said, look, I've not heard from him for a few days. He's always on, at least twice a day. I'm always speaking to him. And I just can't contact him. Well, I said, well, maybe his radio's gone down, or his antenna's got a problem. We can't do anything at the moment because the weather permitted, there's where the guy lived, and there's bad weather situation, snowed in, the police couldn't get out to him for several days. So anyway, apparently what happened, is that the police couldn't get out there, and the guy was trying to communicate with him, but wasn't able to communicate with him. But the weird thing was that some other ham radio was receiving calls from the guy who had apparently gone missing, but he wasn't replying to the questions that he's been given. It's always the same kind of call that the guy was getting.
Mm-hmm.
He started getting a bit, he wasn't getting funny about it. He's getting a bit concerned, thinking that there could be something wrong. So he also contacted the police and brought, it sounds like the guy's calling out for help, kind of thing. Is there any way you can get someone out there? We've got this information. So the police said, well, we'll have to investigate it, and see if there's any other been reports. And funny enough, they got a report from the original guy's friend, yeah. So they kind of put it all together and thought, this is the same person who's gone missing. So why is he giving radio signals out to this person and not to his best friend? So eventually they did get out to go there. Now the weirdest thing is when they got there, they opened the cabin door and the guy was there laying dead. He died of a heart attack or something, yeah.
Yeah.
Understand why the signals were still going through to another radio station when the radio was actually turned off.
Creepy.
So that was classed as a paranormal event where a ham radio using this was trying to communicate with someone, before he died of a heart attack. But even if he was able to try to communicate with someone with a heart attack, why wasn't he trying to communicate with his best friend? And if he was trying to communicate, how was the radio turned off?
What's the name of this film?
It was on a paranormal channel. I can't remember what one. I think it's like.
Oh, it must be true then.
No, it was on My Ghost Story. Thank you.
Yeah. God, if it's on a paranormal show, it's got to be the truth, you know.
Well, people say that they get phone calls from the dead.
Mm.
You know, I've heard a story of someone getting a phone call from their dead auntie. And I know they're dead because they've been buried for like 5 years. So how do you work that out?
I've heard all sorts of stories as well. That's how I work it out. I've heard all sorts of stories. People say all sorts of things.
No, when I first moved in here, right, and I've got the video up as proof. When I first moved into this flat, I always felt that living room had a creepy vibe on it, yeah, especially in the corner. And when I got a bookcase in there, I felt more threatened being in there than anything else. So, what's his name? I got a ghost box off him, which he built.
Mark Coltus.
No, not Mark Coltus. Some other guy.
Not Steve. What's he called? I do know who you mean. Cooper. Coops.
No, not Steve Cooper. No. Oh, God, I can't think of his fucking name.
Not the guy who does the FCD stuff.
He's done a few apps. I'll have to look for it. Hang on, see if I can find the video.
Steve Ulte.
No, it's not Steve Holty.
Danny Bigbeard.
Oh, fuck off. He lives in America. He won't come over here.
There's more chance of coming over here than you ever going over there.
Oh, God. When was it? 2013, I think.
But go on, carry on with your story, because it don't really matter, does it? Go on.
All right. I had this really weird feeling that, you know, my house had some kind of like negative or dark entity in that living room. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was talking to a guy on Facebook, and he didn't live too far from me. And he goes, "Well, if you want, I'll come down and do a house cleansing for you." And I said, "Yeah, could you do that?" He said, "Yeah, I can do that." Well, no, we planned a time and a day for him to come down, which was on a Saturday afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
Now, on a Friday, the day before, I rang him and I said, "Are you still coming down?" He goes, "Yeah." And would you believe it? I was just about going to call you. I said, "Why is that?" He goes, "I just got a phone call from a spirit inside your house." I said, "Why did he call you?" He goes, "Through your phone." So that's a bit weird. How can I do it? He goes, "You'll be surprised on what they can do." He goes, he's a little bit concerned, this spirit, that you're going to kick him out. He doesn't want to be kicked out. He's just like a bit grumpy that he lived there and you've moved into that property. You know, he wants his own space. So he did come down and he done a cleansing. What's his fucking name? Hang on, house cleansing. Let's do.
So a spirit from across the veil decided to phone a guy who was going to come and do an investigation.
No, he phoned up the guy who was coming to do an investigation here.
Yeah, the spirit phoned up that guy who was going to do an investigation. So a spirit decided to use a telephone. Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah.
Rather than when they can cross the veil, as people believe, and travel and transcend time and space. It rather than transcend time and space and come across multiple dimensions like people believe, it decided to use the old dog and bone.
Yep.
Right. Okay.
I've got it on video. I'm
sure you've got the phone call on video.
No, I've got the video of him being down here and explaining.
Right. So you've got a video of somebody saying that this happened, which isn't the same thing as having proof that it did happen. Do you know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah. He told me that the spirit called him on the phone. Now,
I think he's full of shit.
Because I knew at the time, I probably believed him. But I'm surprised that, if you look at some of these documentaries nowadays, people do get phone calls from the dead. You've seen videos that state this.
Not on any. I don't think on documentaries that produce any kind of proof whatsoever. Documentaries where people say it happened, yes, a spirit from the other side that can manifest within the physical doesn't do that. Rather than appear right next to him like that, because it isn't bound by physicality, it isn't bound by dimension or time. Instead, it fucking phones him because it's got a Vodafone account. Is that what you're telling me? Do you know what I'm saying? It's like, come on. I mean, I don't know who this guy is, and I don't care if he watches this, but I think he's full of shit. My name's Dave Dimelo on Facebook, and you can find my channel here as well, fella, if you're watching, because I think you're full of shit.
I find it hard to believe myself, but, you know, the things that he actually said to me the next day when he did come down.
So he's got Tesco Mobile. I'd be interested to know what plan he's got, because I could do with changing mine. I could do with speaking to ghosts on the telephone. It'd save me a load of messing about with spirit boxes and the rest of it. I'm calling bullshit on that, big time.
6 years ago, let's see if this...
I hope he's watching this as well.
Yeah, this is the
fucking telephone call. Oh my god.
Well, you know, if you think about it, you know, if they were able to, you know, do other things like scratch, punch, and, you know, poltergeist activity, how do you know they can't use a telephone to communicate with you?
Because I go off the same principle that nobody can prove that any of it is validated.
Well, then they class, you know, a spirit box when they can communicate through a spirit box. Why can't I communicate through?
Because I don't think there's any empirical evidence that a spirit box works either.
But you use a spirit box, though.
Absolutely, yeah, of course I do. We also use a telephone, but I don't claim that I can speak to ghosts on it.
But then, how about, like, again, on documentaries that I have seen, the old style telephones, you know, the hand ones, dial tone, you know, the ones with the round dial.
I know the ones you're on about, yeah.
People call activity with them being rang and hearing voices on the other side when it's not possible.
Absolutely no evidence to suggest that any of it's true, that any of it has happened whatsoever, anywhere. And when you're dealing with radio signals, when you're dealing with anything, they're open to influence from outside phenomena. So hearing voices.
So how do you work out the one with the guy who was trying to communicate with another ham radio guy when he was dead? Do you think that
he can't prove? All we've got is his word for it that happened. He can't prove that it did.
Could that not linger in the atmosphere and just like be like
No, because you're missing the point, Steve. The burden of proof doesn't lie with somebody like me. The burden of proof lies with somebody who makes the claims.
No, but if you think about it, like you
yes,
do,
it does. I'm afraid it does. There is no empirical proof that the spirit world even exists. None whatsoever. It can all be debunked, all of it, and that's the problem we are all in as paranormal investigators. That is the fight that we all have every single day when we do an investigation.
But do you think that, you know, that signal could have been lingering in the, you know, atmosphere and like it's just being played back as a recording?
No, because I don't think it happened. I think what he's saying is a story.
It could have done.
What?
It's a possibility that it could have been done, because if we're hearing, like, you know, echoes from other planets, and I reckon it's like pre-recordings from other planets, then if that's true, then surely that, you know, a ham radio signal could be bouncing around the atmospheric.
No, it travels. It doesn't stay stationary in one point, and it doesn't stay still in it doesn't stay still in time. If I transmit a radio signal, it would travel depending upon the frequency that I'm using. If it's HF frequencies or below 30 megahertz, the chances are that it's going to bounce off the atmosphere until it gets gradually lower and weaker as it ricochets around the world. If I'm using ultra high frequency or very high frequency, it will pass through the ionosphere into space and continue going. It won't stay there and linger around for 25 years until somebody hears it. It doesn't work like that. It is the oscillation of magnetic and electrical waves that travel at 90 degrees to one another. And it ripples just like a stone does when you throw it in water. It doesn't stay still. So I don't believe that it happened, and I think it's bullshit, the story. I think it's nice and it's romantic and it makes for good TV, but I don't think it happened. I'd more likely believe in real-time communication, which even I can't prove either, than I would a radio that's still transmitted after somebody's died and somebody's picking up their voice and now I'm not having it. Or I would challenge somebody to explain the science of how it happens.
I'm just trying to find if I can find the video. But it's only him, in here doing a, prayer session, crossing over, which I learnt from him anyway. I can't find the actual video where he came down. But
to anybody left listening, Steve hates having these kind of conversations with me, but he always brings it up.
Well, I'm learning from you. You're learning from me. We have our own beliefs. You believe in one thing, I believe in another thing. It's not stopping us from talking and being friendly. You have your doubts about things. I have my doubts about things.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
You might turn. I could tell you, well, hang on a minute. I've got proof of someone ringing me last night. This is his voice. And I know he's dead. But then you can say, well, hang on a minute. Have you got a recording of his voice when he was alive? And I'm going to say no, because I never thought about recording his voice when he's alive. But
Very
I know,
true.
It's, I could turn around and say, I swear that's him calling me. I swear, it's his voice. It's like when I caught that EVP with my dad. You still doubt about that, but I believe that was my dad's voice. But I'm not going to go.
That's fair enough. That's fair enough.
It is his tone, his manner, the speech. And even my sister said it was his voice. So,
but this was a recording, wasn't it?
Yeah, I caught it on an EVP.
Yes, he had a recording. But this guy who says that he had the ham radio communication, has he got a recording?
No, he got was like what he was given to the authorities.
Right, so all we've got is his word for it. So there's a difference between you saying that you'd heard from your dad and him saying that he spoke to his mate who was dead, isn't there?
No, hang on. The thing with the story was that the guy who was talking to him got concerned because he wasn't getting any radio signals from him. Yeah?
I understand that, yeah.
There's another person who was getting the signal of him being, not his friend, who was getting concerned, but the original person who felt distraught and, kind of like in pain kind of situation. He was trying to call for help. And the guy who was receiving the signal, the second guy, was getting concerned, so he reported it. And when they tallied that it's coming from the same hand radio username, then the authorities decided to get into looking into it a lot more by actually taking the time and travel of going out there, even though it's like blizzard situations, the snow was overwhelming. They did actually get out there. It took them several days to get out there. And when they found him, he was laying there dead. And apparently, when they took him to the morgue and had, done all that kind of shit they normally do, they said he died of a heart attack.
Yeah. I understand everything you're saying. I get it.
How was the second guy getting signal?
You're totally missing the point, Steve. All we've got is the fact that they said it happened. Is there any proof that it did?
I think on the video they showed the proof, yeah.
What, that they have the proof that the radio communication took place?
Well, they going by the person who reported it the second time that he'd been getting the same signal.
Do they have a recording of the transmission and the date that it was recorded, and an autopsy report saying the date that the guy died? Because if they can say, right, we recorded this transmission on the 11th of September and the guy died on the 8th of September, fair enough. But if it's just one guy saying, I received a transmission, and another guy saying, that's my mate, I tried contacting him, but I haven't heard from him from ages ago, it's just a story, isn't it? That's all we're left with.
Yeah, I suppose. I don't know what kind of proof they had or not. It's just a video I saw and found it interesting. I thought that, if a spirit was able to communicate, the residual side of the spirit might still be trying to communicate with us. It's like, we get residual haunting.
Rose has just let onto you, I believe.
Hello. Fucking hairy ass, ape ass, gorilla ass. No, you know, it's like with the hauntings we get nowadays. You know, some of them are residual, some of them isn't. Some of them is just like a playback that's stuck in time in it.
So believe, or so we're led to believe, yeah.
So they think that I'm thinking maybe that radio signal, what she was trying to send out for the shatter help, was something that got stuck in time, and
Right. Okay.
just kept playing over like a recording. And
Yeah,
one
I understand. Yeah.
person was actually receiving it on a
Yeah.
certain time, certain night, or every night at a certain time. Like it could be 9 o'clock, Monday to Friday, you were receiving it. But after they found the body and they took it to examine, the guy never received the signals anymore, apparently.
Again, I go back to the same thing of we've got a guy saying this and a guy. It's a story, isn't it? How many loads and loads and loads of people hear about ghost stories? People tell them around campfires all the time.
Oh, yeah, of course.
There's no proof about any of it. None of it. Any good, well, you know, I suppose skeptic, if you like, of any good person or analyst or any good debunker will be able to smash any evidence that put forward, or at least put it into doubt. And if there's doubt, it can't be proven. And that's always the problem, or why are we bothering? Because otherwise it wouldn't be the paranormal, it would be the normal and proven and a science, and it's not.
Yeah, sorry, I was just talking about some paranormal channel video I saw about a ham radio guy who died, and his mate never got a signal, but someone else got signals after the guy had actually died. But there's no proof in it. It's just like, you know, I know you need to put the proof to believe it, yeah, but even the proof that people give you, you can't really believe because it's sometimes fake, you know. Like some of the most haunted locations nowadays, the Sally House, what's that hotel, the one that they've done The Shining in, that one. That hotel's supposed to be very haunted. Now, people got evidence that's haunted, but people still don't believe it's haunted. So, even with proof, people don't believe in it.
No, they got evidence of phenomena that they think is proof of evidence of haunting. Now, you're on about the Stanley. The Stanley. Well, there's loads in the Eastern State Penitentiary. There's all sorts of sanatoriums, Waverly Hills, all sorts of places which are famous for people catching phenomena where they can say this is proof of a haunting, and it's not. It's proof of phenomena that they can't explain given the conditions at that one time. Not the proof that what they've got is a ghost or the evidence of a deceased person trying to contact them. That's the issue. That's the issue, Steve, isn't it?
In that way, then they can't class it as haunted, then, really, can they? If they ain't got proof that it is haunted.
They can class it as haunted if they want. It doesn't mean that does the establishment believe in it, and does mainstream science? The answer is no, because they don't care about hauntings. So that's the problem. I mean, how many times have you tried to convince something? You know, when you've had an experience that it's real, as far as you're concerned, as do I, as do anybody else is in the chat. But when you try and tell somebody about it and you can't prove it to them, you know.
Yeah, I can understand that. Yeah, but
no, I don't, Rose. I don't trust anybody about anything being real, because my brain is there to question everything. Because when you stop questioning it, you don't move any further forward. You just believe. And whether you believe or not has no bearing upon whether it's true or not, unfortunately.
So explain to me then the time I had that black apparition appearing in the living room.
I don't have to explain what it is.
That's proof, though. That's proof that I called.
No, it's proof that there was a phenomena or something happened. There isn't proof or any definitive proof that it was anything from the other side. That's your interpretation of it.
Well, what would you
people who watched it?
If you was a professional, right? If you was a professional analyst and you checked that video yourself and you saw that something appeared on my screen and it wasn't in any way faked, edited, or whatever, yeah, which it wasn't, what would you class that as being?
Are you on about the thing where the camera footage of the CCTV image in the top left?
Yeah.
with that dark image.
Yeah.
Right, I know exactly the type of video. I know exactly the video footage you're talking about. That could be explained as being anything, just like you can explain it as being a spirit. But the burden of proof doesn't lie upon me to say it isn't a spirit. It lies upon you to say it is because you believe it is.
Yeah.
Now, the existence of spirits is always under conjecture. To me, it could have been any kind of video fallout, any kind of video dropout. It could have been anything natural that we don't know about yet. It could have been any kind of dropout in light because there was some kind of vortex that we don't understand. That's physical, but still natural. We just don't understand it yet because science hasn't found out what it is yet. But my brain doesn't automatically say because there was something there that was black and a little bit weird, it was a ghost of a demon coming to visit me, because there isn't any proof to prove that, just as much as there isn't one way or the other. So if it can be doubted, then it's doubtful. I'm not saying it didn't happen.
It happened. You see
I saw it happen. I remember the night.
Because you know, some people will turn around and say, "Well, that's videoing." Well, how can I video it when I was sitting here when I saw it with my own with my own 2 eyes, and other people saw it. Even you saw it. Most saw it.
I remember it. Yeah, I remember. I wasn't in the chat that night, or I was watching the stream.
Perry Pumpkinhead actually done a frame by frame. I did ask him for the video. We did have a little bit of a fallout because he was friendly with one other pill, Mr. Huff, for instance. Yeah.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying. Yeah.
Fell out because we have a disagreement. I asked him a couple of years later, about a year ago, if he had the video still. He said he might have it on his laptop, but he never got back to me. So the frame by frame never got kind of like public released. I saw it. I meant to download it, but I didn't download it. I didn't think about downloading it. I thought I did. I thought I had it on my channel, but it's not there. So I asked him, and he said he looked, but he never looked and never got back to me. So that he done a frame by frame, and what he states is that appeared. It looked like a mist appeared in front of the camera, and it kind of grew into like a fog, then into a black blob that then turned into a human form. And it looked like the human form was wearing a big black raincoat. You can see it striding. The only thing you couldn't see was a head, because when the camera malfunctioned, when it went offline because of the Wi-Fi,
I know the footage, Steve. You don't have to explain it. I know exactly. Yeah.
Set back down to normal default, so we didn't see the head, but you can see the body. You can see it striding, and as it took 2 strides, it suddenly just went back.
Because that's the interpretation. Listen to the grammar and the vernacular that you were using to describe it.
Yeah.
It appeared, it walked, it looked like it strided. There was a head. You're giving it anthropomorphic dimensions when there's no proof that it had any. You are ascribing certain attributes to it due to your belief system and the way that it appeared, without it being an absolute. Because when I look at it, it doesn't look like that. It just looks like a black blob that goes across the screen.
Right. Well, to me, when you freeze frame it, it looks like a humanoid figure.
And that's how you interpret it, which is what pareidolia is.
And not only me, but other people saw it before I even mentioned it.
Yeah, and I bet if you put that before people who don't believe in spirits or people that are skeptics, they're going to say it doesn't look anything like a human figure.
Well, to me, when it first happened, it did just look like a big black blob.
That's exactly how it looked to me.
And when you slowed it down, which I did do on another video, slowed it down step by step as best I could, you could see it appear as a human form.
You see it appear, and you attribute it to looking like a human form. If it was a human stood there, or somebody that was in a pure human form, it wouldn't look like an amorphous black blob.
Yeah, but there's been rumours that, even negative spirits can form into like a humanoid figure, being black.
But there you go again. Listen to the words you use. There have been rumours, because none of it can be proven.
It can be proven. I know.
If you put forward a piece of evidence to validate your belief system, and then turn around and say, no, you're right, it can't be proven, then we're arguing over nothing because I'm right. You've just admitted it can't be proven. So that's what people do. This is what people do, Steve. They put forward their evidence, and then when it's like, well, it doesn't prove anything, they don't like it. And it's like, well, why did you take it then? Why are you putting it forward then as evidence if it doesn't prove your case?
Because you're trying to get the thoughts on other people to find out if they believe if it could be what you're seeing. If people are seeing the same thing I'm seeing, then to me that's more evidence my way. But if people are going to say no, I don't see it, then I'm going to take it.
It's a belief, right? I've been in this just as long as you and as any other people, right, Stephen? I'll tell you this: if somebody believes in the paranormal, if somebody believes in the afterlife, and somebody believes in the spirit world, it doesn't matter what you put in front of them; they're going to believe it. Right? It's difficult for somebody who has a belief system to distance themselves. Now, they might say that they do, but it's difficult to. It's like if you go on an investigation and somebody has something happen to them, technically speaking, they then become a witness and you can't listen. They can't be involved in the investigation because they've got a vetted interest in the outcome. If you would have presented that to somebody who didn't know the parameters of how it happened, to somebody who had no interest in the paranormal whatsoever, and said, what does that look like to you? You would get a completely different outcome. Now, I've been on so many different groups and so many different live chats full of people that are all friends and believe in what one another say. And there isn't any kind of balanced analysis of the evidence that they all give one another because they all believe it no matter what. If you believe it, it's no longer evidence. It's proof by very definition. Do you know what I'm saying?
But then what about the ones I caught in John's Wood, the apparitions on video?
What? Elaborate upon what you try to say. What do you mean by that?
Well, if I caught that in my living room, before I caught that, a few years before then, I caught what I believe is apparitions on video in Jordan's Wood.
Yeah.
On night vision camera, and you can see forms of figures moving around in the bushes. Like one looked like a monk, another one looked like a hunchback.
Again, listen to what you're saying. One looked like and one looked like, but it doesn't prove anything. Now, anybody at all can say to me, I know that this is this, and I know that that is that because I've seen this. Wrong. It doesn't prove a thing. It's just what people think they are seeing and what people believe they are experiencing. It doesn't prove or mean anything. It doesn't validate anything, only to the individual that experiences it. And that is the problem. Now, I've captured all sorts myself. Anybody who's listening to this thinks that I'm just poo-pooing evidence because that's the kind of thing I do. You're wrong, because I've been on so many investigations. I've done it 30 odd years. I'm not a nugget. I'm not blind to it. I'm not just saying it for shits and giggles. I've been there and have done it and I've looked into it. And I've had loads of experiences and I can't prove any of them. All I know is that something weird happened and that is all I know.
Look, what would you say in your own thoughts that it could possibly have been? Could it be like a glitch on the camera? Could it be, where we was, that happened when we was in depth of doing the murder mysteries and unsolved cases,
Mm-hmm.
And I remember, if I'm correct, that I was doing the Ouija board and Tina came through and said something unusual was going to happen. Be ready for it. And I was getting on the Ouija board, and suddenly, like within a matter of time, that happened. So I can't be saying like to myself, thinking that something's going to happen. I could be, I might not be. Something happened that night. Yeah, I was informed by my spirit guide. I suppose you got spirit guides that inform you in things. Telling you to be careful, doing whatever you're doing. I don't know, but we all believe we have spirit guides. My spirit guide told me to be ready. Something's going to happen, because I think we brought in a lot of energy by doing what me and Rose was doing, those murder mystery unsolved cases.
Yeah.
They reckon that Sandra Bland was going to pay me a visit. Now, Sandra Bland was a black lady, and she always wore black clothing.
Right, I understand that, yeah. I remember you doing these cases, actually.
So could it have been Sandra Bland coming through the spirit realm, trying to show herself, trying to communicate?
Are you talking about that black blob? That was so. Should I believe that was a woman of ethnic background just because it was coloured black? No.
Yeah. Or do you think it could have been where there's so much energy, we've opened some kind of portal or dimension that something that we don't know about has come through for that split?
I think there is many possibilities of what it could have been. Yeah, I've said that to you earlier, but I just don't automatically think, right, this is definitely somebody from the spirit world. So it fits in with my belief system, because that isn't how it works. That takes all of the importance out of it, doesn't it? And Angela, yeah, I do believe in the afterlife. I just can't prove it. That's the problem in it. None of us can prove it. We just can't. If you get 200 people watching your live stream on the paranormal, 200 of them people are likely to be into the paranormal, so they're going to believe it. You're not going to get 200 people watching your paranormal channel that don't like the paranormal. Obviously, think about it. Do you know what I'm saying? You don't get 600 beekeepers like turning up at a football match. It's usually football fans.
No, there is things that we don't understand, we can't explain. True.
Absolutely, yeah. I've been saying that all along. The point I'm making is most people, and I'm not going to say all, but most people will just automatically ascribe anything as being spirit communication, no matter what.
When you're saying it's spiritual, well, I am and I'm not. You know, it could have been a spirit trying to come through. It could have been sign of blame trying to come through and manifest. It could have been something that we've opened, another dimension, some weird, you know, humanoid creature was trying to come through, and you know, there just wasn't enough energy for him to, or she, to be there for that amount of time. You know, split second, because that's all it's seemed to be, split second. But when you kind of like do it frame by frame, it lasts for about 2 minutes, but in real time it's about a second, if that. So, you know, we can't explain, you know, like there's so many things in this world that people can't explain, like, you know, how many dimensions there are, how many portals there could possibly be, how many black holes, you know. We're all learning, we're all trying to, you know, understand, believe, and whatever kind of thing. But, you know, I've had some unusual things happening here, things I can't understand. And, you know, I appreciate your output and other people's output. You know, I'm not doubting that, but, you know, you can't really take a belief of someone else's away from them. You know, if they believe it happened, you've got to accept that. If you don't want to believe it, then fair enough. You know,
no, I don't. You're wrong, Steve. I don't have to accept it. I don't have to think just because you. No, wait, no. No, because you've made that claim. So people believe in paedophilia, so I should accept that. People believe in drugs. I should accept that. People believe in murder. People believe that women shouldn't be allowed to vote. People believe that children are second-class citizens. Should I accept that just because they believe it? No, it doesn't work like that.
That I said it's your belief if you wish to believe it or not.
But you've just proved my point again, because them kind of people believe those things, but it doesn't make it so. You see, using the word belief. Belief is faith. Religion is faith. It isn't truth, and it's not absolute. And that's the problem, and that's what I've been saying all night.
Well, maybe I'll put it wrong. You know, I don't think when I say things, which I should do, but as I say, like, people believe in certain things and other people don't believe in certain things. You know, people agree, people disagree. And
you keep using the word believe. I'm talking about proof. Right? Yeah. What is the point in paranormal investigation if you don't want to prove something? What are you doing it for? Is it just to prove it to yourself? But what's the point in that if you already believe? Is it because you like doing it and you kind of buzz off it?
The way I kind of like put belief in my expective way is like, I need to believe that the paranormal is real by doing the paranormal and learning and experiencing the things that may come to me. Not what I hear or see, but what happens to me myself. And if I wish to believe that it happened, then I will believe it happened, because I
absolutely
first-hand experience. If
someone where your belief system falls down is where you believe that I have to believe too.
Yeah.
Because I don't.
Yeah, I'm not.
That's the thing, yeah. But you will try to, and so will every other investigator, will try to present things because you've done it tonight. The black thing on the video, you will present something to me as being proof and ask my opinion on it.
Yeah.
So where does belief go then?
Well,
because you're going to say no matter what, I believe it. So it's like, well, why bother asking me for my opinion if you're going to believe? And why do you need proof if you believe? Is it to prove to other people that your belief system works?
Because belief systems can always fail. They may not be real.
Bingo.
You know?
Bingo. Because belief systems always fail. They do.
So
it doesn't matter what you believe.
What I'm doing, like you could turn around and say, well, do you believe in what you're doing is real? You know, true. And I could turn around and say, well, yeah, you know, I'm trying to learn the truth. I'm trying to get the evidence and, you know, show the evidence and what I'm getting. All right. But then someone might turn and say, well, you're only believing in what you're seeing, which isn't even there. Now, I need to work on that and find out, well, is my belief structure real?
Yeah, validated.
I need to believe it to see it.
Which is fine for you.
If you come to me with a story,
you keep using the word believe, Steve. You keep using the word believe as the very basis for your argument.
What I mean by belief, in my perspective, way, is like, do you think it's real honest? Do you think it's truthful? That's the way I see belief. Is it real? Is it honest?
Right, you know? your interpretation of belief, you mean?
Yeah. So I probably got it all, you know, interpreted wrong, but
no. No, you are entitled to believe what you want, right? And so is anybody in the chat. You're totally entitled to believe what you want. It's when you try to impose them beliefs on other people, that's when it falls down.
So I'm trying to say that I need you to believe that what I saw was real. I'm just trying to get your opinion to see if you think it was real. If you think
my opinion was that it could be absolutely anything. Your opinion is, your belief is that it was a spirit or an entity.
Yeah.
Right, so that's your belief. I don't have a belief. I just have an opinion. I don't believe it's anything because I don't know what it is. I'm not claiming to know what it is. I don't know what it is. My belief is I don't have a belief about it because I have no vested interest one way or the other. It doesn't mean anything to me. It's just a black blob on the screen and I can't prove what it is. So therefore I have no belief in it. I only have an opinion.
Right. Okay, fair enough. That's what I was trying to get at. You know, some people put, you know, belief in different ways. You know, that's why I put it, you know, if you think it's real, you know, truthful, do you think I was like, in any way, kind of faking anything like that, you know, which I would never, ever do anyway. Well, I've been accused of faking shit. But, you know, what I'm trying to say is that what I was trying to do it as is, do you think what I saw was real in your opinion? Do you think that you saw the same thing, or did you see something completely different to what I saw? And you say now you're saying that, you know, what you said you saw a blob. And that's
because that is what it is.
Yeah.
Visually, it's a blob. What's responsible for that blob? I don't know, because I'm not claiming to know what it is. So you can ask me what my opinion of it is until the cows come home. But because you believe that it's something, you are straight away or more quickly going to go to, it was a paranormal phenomenon, which technically speaking, it is paranormal because it can't be explained, but it doesn't mean it's a spirit or a demon or an entity or the life force of somebody who's passed by, because that can't be proved. You say it turns into a figure and other people say it turns into a figure. To me, it doesn't. Now, people don't like that, and Rose has gone off, so I think she's not happy about it, but that's up to her. I don't give a shit. You know, I don't give a shit about people's beliefs. It doesn't matter. And to turn around and say, I saw something when I was a kid, well, what do people think made me get into it? I had an experience when I was a kid.
Yeah, no.
Welcome to the club. It wasn't. It doesn't mean anything. I can't. Yeah, exactly, Steve. You remember, but I can't prove it. I can't prove any of it, and that's the issue.
That's why we do this, to try to prove the evidence that we capture. But you know, you're going to get people who are going to see what you're seeing, and you're going to get the skepticals who ain't going to see it. You know, they're going to think that
Exactly.
You know, and that's what I want to talk about. Like, you know, believing that you saw something and someone to not to believe that you saw something is two different things.
Well, put it this way, right? When you get somebody who's more likely or more balanced, right? You're more likely going to get them to believe it's one thing one way or the other than somebody who just believes absolutely, right? So somebody who's an absolute fanatic about the paranormal and thinks that everything they get is spiritual and paranormal and whatever, their first port of call is always going to be that it was a spirit entity, that it was a ghost, that it was a demon, that it was whatever. Well, mine isn't, right? I'm more likely to try and think, well, it could be this as well. See, I'm more likely. Somebody like me is more likely to see both sides of the coin than somebody like you, Steve, the way that you're coming across tonight, to be quite honest.
Yeah, I know. But what I'm just saying is that, you know, some of the things I see, I think it could possibly be a spirit person or some kind of entity coming through. But other people probably think, well, no, all what I'm seeing is a black blob, like you're saying.
No, it could be. It could be a spirit person. But my point is we can't prove it.
I know we can't prove it. That's why we're doing this, to try to prove some of this. You know,
exactly what I've been saying all night. Angela, yeah, I do have my YouTube account is under my name, my name here, Darius Lives, and Facebook. Actually, yeah, because you've come up as a suggestion to me loads of times on my newsfeed as it happens. I'll add you if you like. But if I've upset you and I've upset anybody tonight, then it's just part of it, I'm afraid, because I don't set out to upset anybody. I'm not going to be convinced until I see absolute proof. And that's despite all the experiences I've had in over 30 years of paranormal investigation all over the UK.
I don't think we'll ever get the real truth or proof anyway, because even if we did get the proof of existence of spirits or afterlife or portals or, you know, anything like that, as soon as the government, you know, again, the government, once the government hears and sees about it and they say, oh, that guy's got proof, don't you think they'd be knocking on your door, taking every piece of documentation, video, evidence, whatever? They don't want people knowing about that, do they? The government's going to be using that to build fucking doorways into the underworld or, you know, into different portals or dimensions. And that's how I see it. I know it sounds a bit stupid, but, you know.
No, I don't think it does sound stupid. I mean, you don't misunderstand what I'm saying. It could be all of these things and a mixture of none. But it is proving it. It is proving it, innit? And that is why we do it. You know yourself, I've got a cupboard full of stuff to go out on investigations with, Steve.
Yeah, I know.
It's not about not wanting to do it and not about not wanting things to be the way they are. I haven't got the luxury of believing it one way or the other. And that is why I try and prove it, because I don't believe they don't and I don't believe they do. I don't know. That's where I'm at. That's all I'm trying to say. I can't prove it. But if somebody says to me, I've got a picture of a ghost, I say, well, let me have a look then. And if it's just a misty, blobby thing, it's like, well, that just looks like a misty, blobby thing. I've studied psychology. I understand how matrixing works in pareidolia. And to me, it can be explained away scientifically. And that's just the way it is. When it can't be explained away scientifically, I will say, I don't know what that is. But it still doesn't mean it's a ghost or a spirit person.
I don't think there's going to be that kind of technology yet to get any kind of evidence that there's a portal or dimension or gateway to another dimension or to another afterworld or galaxy or whatever.
You're probably right, Steve. You're probably right. I would probably agree with that.
You know, because we only just started, like, you know, sending communication out into the stars and we getting replies. But how do we know that the replies ain't just rebounds on what we're sending out?
I've sent you a message on Facebook, Angela, and if it's in capitals, but I'm not shouting. I know exactly what I do. Really, I know what you're saying, Steve, and that's the issue in it. I mean, I would love some kind of closure on it, one way or the other. It'd be great for, you know, us to know whether it's right or whether it's wrong. But if we're led to believe what we're told, the governments around the world and scientists around the world, they're not interested in the paranormal. They just absolutely don't believe in it. I mean, there does seem to be more sort of people giving it a little bit more credence, doesn't there? You know, you hear about more and more doctors that look into life after death, and more papers are allegedly being done about it.
Yeah, but how
So
about the religious side of the things as well? Not that I'm going to go in depth with it. You've got like the Pope. They got archives, which if you think about it, all the exorcisms. Why are people being exorcised if there ain't no such thing as demons and devils and shit like
oh,
that? Unimproved.
that answers itself, that Steve. Seriously, doesn't it? Think about it. I mean, because religion was one of the biggest control mediums and a way of people getting by in life for so many years. Because we're floating around on an inhospitable bit of rock throughout a vast cosmos without anybody understanding the purpose of being. So we have mortality. We live, we die, we go through things in our life we don't understand, which hurt us and confuse us. So some kind of succor or some kind of something to make us feel good about ourselves, or that we had a reason for being and a sense of purpose, and religion filled that gap, and it did for many years, as well as controlled people. And the amount of people that I know that are religious and they believe in God, and they're every right, they're fine, fine, and they're in situations, they're not panicking, they're not upset, they don't get scared, because they believe that God is on their side and watching out for them. So if it serves that purpose and it makes people feel better, great, good. A lot of people that believe in religion, they tend to try to live a very good and wholesome life, and they try to treat other people better in a lot of cases. So if it makes you a better person, then I'm all for it. Good, you believe in it, you crack on. But it's not what I believe in. You know what I mean?
How would you explain all these documentaries and movies coming out about people being exorcised from demons and stuff if we can't even prove demons exist?
Well, I've just answered your question, Steve. It was a controlling thing. To control people with good, you also need evil. Religion only works when you've got an antithesis with which to base it against. And for many years it was, if you don't do as you're told, you're going into the pits of sulfur for all eternity to burn in hell. And that's what made people behave themselves.
And can you explain then why people, when they are going through that situation, they need like a priest or someone to come down and exercise them, and they're going, that person is going through, hell in one way. They're spitting out stuff they don't even know, like, what's that writing?
But it's not, if you're talking about Aramaic and things like that, there's no evidence to suggest that any of that's actually true either. The other thing is, the vast majority of people that are exercised, and all the famous ones that people try to use as an example, are all religious fanatics. They're all people from a religious background. Very few non-religious people have had to be exercised. Very few non-religious people who have had to be exercised don't believe in the paranormal too. So if it's somebody who needs to be exercised but they're not religious, it's normally somebody who believes in the paranormal. So they either believe in the paranormal or they're from a religious background. If both of them situations are in place, they don't need an exorcism or they don't need a cleansing, because they haven't got a belief system behind it to force what they think is going on. Whereas science, or rather medicine, can prove that they're having a mental health issue more often than not. But people won't go down that route. If you look at Annalise Michel or Emily Rose, not only was she suffering from bulimia nervosa, but also split personality disorder, and she was abused. She was allowed to die. She wasn't given the correct medical treatment, but it was hidden behind the fact that her family, which were staunch Catholics, allowed her to die because they got the church involved and done multiple exorcisms on the poor girl. That is the truth of it.
Who was that one? Was that the Mary Rose one or some other one?
Yeah, Annalise Michel, yeah.
Because I was going to watch that movie young night, actually. Because I was getting thinking about, I want to know what causes someone to go into that kind of mode, and why they need to call a priest down to exercise that person. That's the thing I need to start learning a little bit about, because I've never gone into that kind of depth. How do they even understand, which I didn't understand myself, is that when someone is actually possessed by a demon or whatever, how the hell do they know different languages when they never ever learnt the language itself?
You look at a lot of the exorcisms of people in third world countries. They don't. You look at a lot of exorcisms throughout history where the background's been Roman Catholic. The religious, the person who's from the religious family background will be able to say things in Latin, which is taught in Roman Catholic schools. So there's your answer.
Yeah, but let's say they never brought up in a Roman Catholic school, never went into education.
But they don't know. That's the problem, Steve. They don't. In proper true cases or true alleged cases, not ones that make up TV shows and TV films, it isn't the truth. It doesn't happen like that.
But you got movies which are based on true events, though.
Based on true events.
But
if you look at what you watch, what happened with Annalise Michel, a big chunk of what's in that, the what's it called, the Exorcism of Emily Rose.
Yeah, then you got the one Mary Ann, I think it is, based on a true story. You've got several which are based on true stories.
Yeah, based on true stories, or based on stories, not true, based on stories.
They state on the movies that it's based on the true events.
Yeah, but doesn't mean that what happens is what they're claiming is happening.
No,
so I can say, you know, they can make a movie about that ham radio situation you were talking about earlier on. Well, that's just a screenwriter writing a film. It doesn't mean that the thing they based it on actually happened, or that the thing that they based it on is actually what the person who experienced it believed it was. What?
Unless they got the proof to prove it.
Which is sort of where we come in, I thought.
But how can you really prove something which you can't really prove in the first place anyway? Unless, you know, you're there and, you know, you've got witnesses.
Well, because what you need is an absolute outline of what is considered truth and proof in the eyes of the people you were trying to present it to. So in this case, if you say, well, it's the scientific establishment, you would need certain parameters set out by the scientific community to say would only accept these following conditions as being proof of the afterlife: A, B, C, and D. And if it doesn't say A, physical form that can be captured or touched and reproduced; B, oral or audible phenomenon that can also be reproduced and captured on devices; C, you know, a changing in physiological and environmental stimuli that can also be captured on scientifically proved instruments; and D, whatever D happens to be, which might be, you know, 20 people seeing it at the same time. I don't know, but there would have to be a list by the governing bodies or the scientific community that would say, if we had all this lot and it met all these parameters, we are more likely to consider it to be proof, whether it's tangible, audible, or physiological. And if it doesn't meet any of them, then it isn't proof. So we don't know what we need to get together as proof, because we haven't been told by the people we need to prove it to what they will consider to be proof. Do you know what I mean?
And then, as I said, then if you do get the proof, they probably hide it from the public because it probably stir the public up, make us frightened that, you know, that kind of stuff does exist.
That's very possible.
Get technology to tap into like these portals, our dimensions. No, there was one film which I saw. I can't remember what it's called. You know, I've watched so many films, I just get confused on the names. But there was one film where, you know, someone found a portal into the dimension. The government heard about it, and somehow they got the technology to open that portal up and go into another dimension and take over whatever was there, you know, kind of control what was on the other side. It's just like a fantasy kind of movie, but no, you never know, something like that could ever happen. I would be surprised with the technology that's coming out nowadays. And I think a lot of this technology is coming from aliens and not humanoid. Because if you think about it, 100 years ago we didn't have radio or TV. Now look what we got. Radio, TV, social media, internet. We got ham radios, CBs.
Start about them, Jesus. Yeah, that's it. That's the one. Absolutely. There's all sorts of things, and all sorts of weird things go on. you know, and it does. All sorts of things do go on. I've seen some absolutely bizarre shit, man. I mean, I have. I mean, I wish I could, but it wouldn't matter. You know, I wish I could tell everybody who's listening or anybody who cares anyway, that the type of things that I've experienced so they could understand where I'm coming from. But it wouldn't matter because by my own very argument, all you've got is my word for it. Angela, I've sent you a message if you want to chat any further on Facebook and that.
Down to the other person's belief system if they want to believe what you're saying as well.
And I'm not bothered about belief. You keep going on about belief. I'm not bothered about belief. Belief is a conjectured remit what people subscribe to, and I don't play that game. I'm not interested in belief. Belief is negating a big part of your job or responsibility as a paranormal investigator.
Yeah, but you've got to have a part of the belief to understand and believe that what you're doing is even right or wrong, or
no, because right or wrong means you've already made a decision upon the outcome of your so-called evidence.
Well, no, you learn by your mistakes, don't you? If you go to a haunted location, which is apparently, you know, and you believe it's really haunted, then it's up to your own choice if you want to go there or not. And if you do go there, you've got to be ready for, you know, the circumstances what may affect you. You know, you might come out.
But surely things happen whether you believe they're going to happen or not, because the evidence should speak to itself, should it not?
Yeah, but
if the evidence doesn't speak for itself,
you might only be given so much information and evidence, but that place could be more active than they expect it to be. You know, they might turn around and say, "Oh, I got scratched,"
but it doesn't prove anything, does it?
No.
That's not proof. That's just That's just expectation and belief. It's not proof.
It's not proven. But if you do go in there, and that same thing happens to you, or even worse, then that's, you know, what do you call that? You know,
I don't call it anything. I just call it an experience. You're the one who keeps saying belief. I don't. If you went into a building and got scratched, didn't tell me about it, and you walked out, and I didn't know that had happened, and I walked in and I got scratched, and the same thing happened to me, and I come out and we both went, fucking hell, we went in there and we both got scratched. Do you know what it would prove, Steve? It would prove that we both got scratched. That is all it would prove. Nothing else. And that would be with you believing it might be a spirit and me being on the fence.
Well, then again,
it wouldn't change anything.
I'd have to believe whether it be in spirit or whether it was me that might scratch myself, or if I got, like, you know, walked past a door which might have had a piece of shard of glass or a nail sticking out and probably caught me on the side of the neck or whatever. You know,
which is semantics, you know.
No, I need to go into a place and again, I believe it's haunted before I even go into a place. And then if I do believe it's haunted, I need to take precautions and be ready for what may or may not happen. Like, I could go in there hearing stories and none of that might not even be true. You know, I might be expecting to be scratched, pushed down the stairs or whatever like that, you know, kind of thing. I might be expecting that, yeah.
There we go. Expectations and belief. Again, Steve, you are the one that keeps saying belief, and you are the person who keeps having expectations. I don't, because if I went to that same location, I wouldn't give a shit about the stories. I would go in and get the evidence.
Well, that is another part of it. You know, I need to get the evidence to believe in what people have said. It's true or not. If I'm not getting it, then I ain't going to believe it, am I?
Well, by the very definition of what you just said, you would, because you said I need to get the evidence to believe what people are saying. Whereas I'm saying I get the evidence because the evidence speaks for itself despite what people are saying.
Yeah, but
you know what I mean? The evidence speaks for itself, and if it doesn't stand, then it's not evidence.
No.
It doesn't though, does it? That's what I mean. How many people have gone before us? Harry Price was at it with Bawley Rectory in the 1930s. How many Victorian investigators were trying to do it before us? We're like 140 years after everybody else, and still we're in the same boat. Can't prove a thing. So
Yeah, but Tesla, he tried proving it though, didn't he?
He didn't know, did he?
Well, he got voices on this the signal he was getting from.
And absolutely no evidence to suggest what it was. All he can prove is that it were voices. And radio waves and telephony existed back in them days when he was doing that.
True.
I'm afraid it is true, yeah. That's the unfortunate thing. This is why the paranormal community is sort of still considered a big joke, is because everybody believes rather than everybody trying to get the proof. And everybody finding a common ground as to what that proof needs to be for people to believe. All we've got is faith and boxes that flash in the dark. That's the unfortunate truth of it. I know I've probably made a load of enemies tonight as well, but it's the truth, isn't it?
It's just your opinion. It's your answers. I as I say, I admit I pronounce things wrongly. When I say I believe, it don't mean that you have to believe. It's just what I believe. If I believe I saw something, I'm going to stick to that. If you believe, that's up to you. I don't give a fuck what you say. To be honest with you, if you say, well, it's just black blob, then fair enough. It's a black blob.
But it was a black blob.
Well, I don't think it was a black blob.
What do you think it is?
I think it was something coming from another dimension.
And why do you think that?
I don't know, to be honest with you. I just think it could have been.
Because you believe it. Because you believe that it is.
Because it's not impossible that another dimension does not exist.
It's also not impossible that it could be something natural. But why don't you believe that?
It could be. It could have just.
Why don't you think it was that? Out of the two, why have you gone with something from another dimension?
I'm not saying it was. I said it could have been something from another dimension. That's what it could also be something completely natural. It could have been.
Right. So in other words, we don't know. Is that we don't know what it was?
No.
So you are choosing to believe, because you said, and this has been recorded. It will be on the internet. You said you choose to believe. So belief.
Yeah.
Again, there you go. You've proved my points. You've proved my point. You believe.
I
so
believe.
It's down to what you believe.
You have to believe. That's what I'm trying to get my point at.
Yeah, and I'm saying your belief proves nothing.
Then that's your opinion.
No, it's the truth. Your belief doesn't prove it. You believe that black blob is spirit or something from the other realms. It doesn't prove that it is. That's what you believe it is.
All right, let's put it this way. I believe it's a anomaly that I cannot explain.
Yes, I agree with that.
Let's end it there. I believe it's an anomaly I could not explain.
I agree with that. That's also what I think it is.
So we agree to agree and not to disagree to agree.
With what you just said, I agree with that. I agree with that. That's also what I think. Yes, I agree with you.
So there are different kind of anomalies that people see and believe in.
Absolutely.
We will see and believe in it. That's what you're trying to say in your words.
What I'm saying is an absolute, right? What I'm saying is absolute. My absolute is this. Two things. The burden of proof lies with the people making the claim. And secondly, we have no proof. Anything outside of that is irrelevant. What I believe is irrelevant. What you believe is irrelevant. It's only relevant to the people that believe whatever they believe. That is it. But it doesn't prove anything. Nothing whatsoever yet. None of us have got it.
Yeah.
Right? That is what I'm saying. And it is the truth. That is an absolute. Because if it wasn't, we wouldn't be having this conversation in the first place. Because you wouldn't have to prove what you're saying, because it would be very real and it would be absolute. But it isn't. It isn't a science. It isn't normal. That's why it's called the paranormal. It isn't natural. That's why it's unnatural. Otherwise, it wouldn't exist. And it does exist because you're having experiences. So you destroy your own argument and your own belief system when you don't accept that what I'm saying is an absolute. Otherwise, why are you still searching for the truth and having phenomena you can't explain?
Because I think there's always a different kind of thermometer. I can't even fucking say it now. Thermometer. I can't even fucking say it now.
Phenomena.
Phenomena out there. Like, you know, people believe that the Bigfoot. People believe that the Yeti, the Bonald Snowman, Loch Ness Monster.
Yep.
I don't mean that I believe in it.
Yeah, correct.
There's no proof.
Correct.
Right? So that's what you're saying. There's no proof. Being in the paranormal, there's no proof. That's why we're doing it. I understand that. I agree with that. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I think, in some way. No, shut up, Steve. Shut up.
No. What you're saying is making complete sense.
I think we still need that slight structure of belief to believe things do exist out there.
Okay.
To know the truth, we want to gather the evidence. You know, you can't just go out and say, well, tomorrow I'm going to go to a haunted location and I'm going to get that evidence. You got to believe in yourself that you may get the evidence or you may not get the evidence.
Not necessarily. You see, I wouldn't say I wouldn't say you need to believe. I would say that you would still need a desire to want to do it one way or the other. I have a desire. I have a desire to get evidence, which is why I do it. But so I don't believe.
With my belief, I get things muddled up. You know, the desire. I want to go out and get the evidence. I believe I may get the evidence, but then there's a time where I'm going to go out and not get nothing, and that's my belief gone down the toilet. You know, I go out and investigate in locations which I think may or is haunted. You know, I can't say my house is even haunted. I've had some very unusual experiences in here.
Yeah.
And people said, well, do you class your house as haunted? I do not believe that my house is haunted. I believe that it has something that creates paranormal activity time to time.
Well,
but it's not
your channel description says real life events of my haunted flat. So you've claimed there that you think it's haunted.
No, I've. Where does it say that?
Right, I'm looking at it right now. I'll even screenshot it before you change it.
Haunted home. What, the real life
underneath haunted experiences, real life events of my haunted flat, ghost boxing, EVPs, DCR, CTV, live streaming in a real life haunted see, you're making that claim on your channel.
Well, yeah, because I believe that one time it may have been haunted, and I've had haunted experiences. That's why I put it as under haunted experiences.
Yeah, I think you should move on because you're digging yourself a bigger hole with this one. It's written all over your channel, and you've just said you believed it. So all you've done for the past hour and a half is prove everything I've said.
No, think about it. I've had activity in here. I've had activity in here. And if I wish to class it as possibly haunted, then I'm going to say it's possibly haunted. I'm not saying it's 100% haunted all the time. You know, haunted experiences means that I've had those haunted times where experiences have happened. It's not a constant haunted house. You know, I've had experiences happening in here which I cannot explain. So that's what the title's supposed to be kind of like meaning. Real events of my haunted flat. Well, I can edit that if I want to. I believe in one way my house possibly could have been haunted. I'm not saying it's haunted now. So you could turn around and say, oh, hang a minute, if you believed it's haunted 1 minute, it's not next minute. You can get places that are possibly haunted 1 minute and not next minute.
Yeah, there's people that believe certain areas are like have a perennial or annual type of hauntings, you know, or almost seasonal activity. Things might only happen in summer and it doesn't happen in winter.
Yeah, well, that's what I see as my house being. Well, my flat. Sometimes it can be very active at times of the year, sometimes it's not. And if I think it's haunted, I'm going to say it's haunted. If people want to believe that, then that's up to them to believe it or not. I've had activity in here. You've seen it. Who else was it? I'm trying to think. Like Perry, Rose, Mark, Cultus has been on here. I think when he saw something one time.
Yeah.
Oh God, who's it? Who we had on here the other not long ago? He lives in America. The bald guy. Oh fucking hell!
I don't know who you're talking about. Sorry.
Yes, you do. You had him on your channel quite a lot. Lindsay, not Lindsay. Lindsay.
Oh, Lindsay. Yeah.
He's seen weird shit happening here. He's seen shit in here that he can't even explain himself. And he's kind of like more skeptical on the paranormal in one way. But he can't even explain some of the stuff that's happened. You know, even like that mini procession I had that time. I don't know no fucking Latin. And I was writing stuff on my Google page, Latin shit. I wrote something backwards and it led to this really weird website, which I didn't know until Rusty Reporter done research and found it. And it's some kind of crypto fucking website, which has everything about religion, paranormal, fucking yetis, you know, anything paranormal, unknown, unusual. It's like one of the worst, apparently dangerous websites out there on the internet, yeah? I didn't know anything about that. But Lindsay was the one who was trying to communicate with me when he saw that Latin which I wrote. And I don't know Latin. I wasn't brought up to learn Latin. I had no knowledge of Latin, but I wrote shit on there. And I can't explain it. And I feel like, you know, at that time, I could have had a mini procession. I'm not saying I did, but there's a possibility for me to do that. And that's on video. And we spoke about it several times, me and Lindsay and Rusty, even Simon James. We all sat
I know all these people that you're talking about, but I haven't heard once it tried to be described as a transient psychotic episode where you've got access to the internet and you could have looked at when you weren't in a normal conscious state. You haven't tried to explain it as that. Your first port of call has been possible possession, not possible transient psychotic disorder, which everybody can have.
Lindsay stated it was a possession I had. You asked him. He goes,
I'm sure he did.
He said you was possessed by something dark. You know, he said it took him hours to try to communicate with me, and how I answered a video conference, I do not know. I was burning my hand with a lighter, and you see the flame right underneath my hand, and that the flame was there for 5 minutes.
Yeah, I know these. I was around, Steve. I remember all this, but it's like I said,
you know, that happened. If it is some kind of like haunting that was going on, and some kind of
you're trying to validate your belief system still, but you're proving nothing. So we will keep going round in circles because you're not proving anything. And I'm sure it made for really good interest in watching on a paranormal channel. But you know, it could have been a possession in your own words. But you can't prove it was. And just because other people who are watching the channel who have paranormal beliefs were backing you up on it proves nothing also.
Hang on a minute. Rusty once played a live stream where he played poker with a devil for a high soul. I was scared. Rusty won in the round 2. Kept his soul.
Disappeared, honey, Rusty.
Yeah, because he got fed up with all the fucking drama and all the hate and bullshit. I'm surprised I stayed on, to be honest with you. But I wasn't going to keep getting kicked down and beaten down and thrown underneath the curb and being told that I can't do what I enjoy doing, you know, kind of thing.
There you go. Absolutely. You fucking carry on, innit? You made a tougher stuff. You carry on. It don't matter, you know. You were doing what you want to do, so crack on.
No, it stopped me from doing what I wanted to do for nearly over a year, well, about a year and a half now.
Mm-hmm.
I want to start coming back and doing stuff. Fuck them. They don't have to come and watch it.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. And I think you should. I think if that's what you like doing, you should do it. Absolutely. You know, plenty of people supported it and enjoyed watching it. So why not?
No, it wasn't here for like entertainment. You know, make people laugh and joke around. You know, I was trying to gather
But
there.
I know, but that's not what entertainment is. Entertainment isn't necessarily laughing and joking. Entertainment's being able to be interested or having your interest kept in something that you like.
I say there's several different types of entertainment actually, but I
Of
want
course, you was entertainment. If people didn't find you entertaining, you wouldn't have nearly 2,700 subscribers.
well, I've still got those I do not know.
They wouldn't subscribe to you if you didn't entertain them.
No, but it
You know,
wasn't like, you know, entertaining to make it look like, you know, it's all fakery and
no, of
unreal.
course not. I'm not saying that you entertain people as in what you're putting on is a show. I'm saying entertainment is somebody will watch. I mean, you know, people will watch. Entertainment can be anything. Entertainment can be watching a band. It can be watching jugglers. It can be watching the cat chase a laser pen around the floor. It's what keeps somebody's mind or interest occupied. That's what entertainment is, not something that's necessarily jocular or funny.
Hmm.
And people found your channel entertaining. People that were into the paranormal, which is why they subscribe to you. Other people subscribe just to be a dick.
True.
But you know, you really only need to care about it. I'm not telling you what to do. You do whatever you like, but you only really need to concern yourself on the people that genuinely want to follow you and have been entertained by you and enjoy watching what you do. And that's all that matters, isn't it?
So that's why I moved away from this channel, because of the shit what was going on. You know, I was getting bored not doing the paranormal, although I wanted to do the paranormal. But I knew doing it would bring in them fucking shitheads, the haters, the trolls. So I moved away from this channel, and then I decided to do like me bushcraft, and that was a new kind of like project I wanted to do. That came along just like as a surprise. Actually, I was just sitting here watching a video one day, and suddenly this other video popped up somehow. I don't know how it happened. And it's bushcraft, and I thought that's interesting. And I started watching a load of bushcrafting videos. So I thought, you know what, I'm not doing nothing. I'm sitting indoors doing diddly squat. Let's go out. You know, I was doing me metal detecting magnet fishing with Alan.
Mm.
But that kind of like eased up because, like, you know, of health issues and stuff he was having, family problems, and I was having health issues as well.
Mm-hmm.
I keep staying indoors, so I thought, you know what, I've got permission on, you know, a pony farm where I can do milk detecting. I'll ask him if I can have permission for doing the bushcraft, and when he said yeah, I knocked myself out 6 months building that fucking thing.
Yeah. Right, it's 3 hours. I'd better get out of here, me, Steve.
All right, thanks for coming on anyway.
Yeah, thanks for the discourse. It's always interesting when we get chatting, and I enjoy it a lot. I mean, yeah, I'm glad that you've done another stream on this channel. You know, I'm glad when you do keep it going. You know, because this, you know, with everything we've talked about tonight, it doesn't change the fact that I still appreciate the fact that people still try to find answers, and because it's true, I do. I just want them to get the right answers. And that's what it's all about for me. But you take care, buddy, and thanks to everybody who watched anyway.
Right then, cheers for coming on anyway. Yeah, come
See
on
you later, dude.
if I do another one soon.
Yeah, of course, absolutely. Yeah, definitely.
We'll talk on another topic maybe.
Yeah, whatever you want. Yeah, no problem. Yeah, totally. Yeah. See you later, buddy.
See you later. Cheers.
Bye, mate. Bye-bye.
Well, Angela, you're late. I'm just about going to close down. I'm going to go to the bathroom and have a little bit of a gaming session, maybe. I don't know yet. Might even go to bed because I've got to go out early tomorrow and do some shopping. But I do need to go for a pee, so just give me a minute. I need to go for a pee. Take my cup out and go for a pee. Give me a minute. Oh God. Right, sorry about that. I had to go. I don't know why, but every time I go to the bathroom now, I tend to pee more because it's cold. Every time I get cold, I pee more. I think it's messes around with my bladder system or something. But anyway, yeah, good to have Dave on. Not been on for a while. I hope to do a few more streams with people if they want to come on and talk about the paranormal or other topics if they wish to. See how it goes. I might try and do some ghost box sessions soon. I'm not saying I'm going to do it this month. I did say I wasn't going to stream that much this month, to be honest with you. I just wanted to take a little bit more time out. Do my coffee time chats, which I'll still probably do this month, another one or two maybe. But I hope to get back doing paranormal maybe next month, do some ghost boxes, maybe the odd Ouija board. Talk about some of the experiences that's been going on here, which I did explain earlier. I don't know why, but the other night, I think about 4 times I heard like a woman's voice mumble 3 words. What the words were, I do not know, but it sounded like the same word all the time, same 3 words all the time. Like it was like So really, like, it sounded like 3, but it could have been 4 words. First time, I thought it was outside. It happened again a few minutes later, and it sounded exactly the same as the first time. Then it happened again and again until I fell asleep. I was trying to find the camcorder so I could try and record, but I couldn't find the camcorder, although it's right next to me on the bed, would you believe? Looking everywhere, I couldn't find it. Woke up this morning, right beside me. So I didn't actually get a recording of it, so it's just my word. I do hear a few knocks and taps in here time to time. When I say to the spirits, every time I go to bed, I say, right, night spirits, you know the rules. I've set down the rules. No noise, no waking up, no touching me, no cold spots around the bed, waking up. That used to happen. So I set down like ground rules. And usually I'm okay, but I still do hear like little knocks and taps, but that could be anything. That could be just like vibration from a vehicle outside, which I don't think it was because it wouldn't tap, would it really? You hear like little knocks and taps, sound different to me. No, this is a knock. That's a tap. Some people say, well, the same thing, but to them, yeah, maybe, but to me, it sound 2 different things. I do get like the coldest down at the bottom of the bed, but it's bloody cold in here most of the time anyway. Just have to turn the heating on again. I actually thought I heard my door handle rattle the other day as well, the other night. And I don't think it was a cat. I didn't look up at the CCTV monitor because like my CCTVs keep going on and off. I've got problems with the cameras again, especially camera number 1, which is the one behind me, keeps flickering on and off all the time. I don't know why, but it goes off for a few minutes, then comes back on, then it goes off and comes back on, then off and on and off. It's like a yo-yo kind of thing. 2 cameras in the living room. I've got the wavy, horrible lining effects going up and down on those. 2 in the hallway. They work, but they've got cobwebs on. I don't want to keep going out and cleaning the cobwebs. Some people say, oh, you know, living the dirt. Yeah. No, I don't mind spiders. I don't like spiders, but, you know, as long as they're not near me, then I'm okay with them. I had a massive cobweb out on the balcony one. Massive it was. Until we had that kind of a, I don't know if it was a blizzard or mist or snow we had last night, but I think it's cleared it away. My light sometimes flashes like that. You've seen that? My light keeps flashing time to time. Why? I've got no idea. It's even affects my camera, my CCTV camera. No, I could show you it right now, I would do. But I don't have the CCTV camera software on the computer since I last formatted it. Keep meaning to install it, but I keep forgetting to do it. Don't know what's causing it to flicker. It's like one of those life energy saving bulbs, so it shouldn't blow, you know, for many more months or maybe a year or two. Don't know how long they last, but my camera one has just gone offline again. What are you meowing for? I'm not picking you up because you're molting. No, I just heard like a clicking behind me just now. It's not the cat because he's here. That was behind me. What are you meowing for? I'm not picking you up. No, I'm not picking you up. I want to try to communicate with one of my relatives, well, on her side of the family. Maybe sometime. Leia, see if she wants to come through and say hello. But yeah, not planning to do too much this month, paranormal wise. You know, cut the coffee chat times, get a few people on if they want to come on, maybe. I might have try to contact, what was their channel name? Right, you call my chair again, I'm gonna get out. Go sit down. Sticking your nails in my new chair, you little cat. WPC2R, I think it was. Might see if they're ready to do any more live streams. What's that? Oh, I missed that one. There's it. Living Dead Paranormal did a live stream last night, 17 hours ago. Chanced. Never mind. I'm trying to think. Mark Irwin, and his buddy used to run the WPCTR, I think it's called, radio station, which I was lucky enough to be a moderator and a co-presenter on there. So I might try contacting them and seeing if they're up for any new video content. Whether it's been on their channel, my channel, I don't mind. So I can always, if it's on their channel, I can always download and upload it onto my channel later anyway. See if those want to come on here one night for a chat. Fuck the haters. If they come on, we just kick their asses out. That's all we can do about it. It seems like they're trying to stop us from streaming indefinite, but I keep saying to her, if you let them do that, then we ain't never going to stream. Just ignore them. Just block them, and if you have to report them, they're not going to stop me from doing what I want to do like they've done for a year and a half. So that's why I think it's about a year and a half since I've not done any real decent paranormal streams. I don't know what that is up there, this marking right here. There ain't no marking on there, actually. It's just like a shadow effect. What it is, I don't know. Dear. But yeah, we're probably trying to get into it a bit more slowly and gradually back into the paranormal. I'm not going to stop it. No, even if it's only like one fucking live stream a month or something, I'm still going to be doing it. No one's getting me off that easy. And I've told him that. Well, you want to come on and start giving out my name and address details, then you're going to have to be prepared for the outcome, because it has been reported. And I did get an email back from the authorities as well, letting me know what they plan to do about it. I'm not saying if they're going to do anything about it, or if they are, but I did get an email back. And I'm not fucking lying to you. No, even like when you sign up with a company, like, online banking or, Prime or any kind of social media, they're not allowed to give out your address to a third party company unless you give them the okay under the terms and conditions. So they're not allowed to be posting out your name and address, these haters, without your consent. They are breaking the law. And that can carry a fine and possibly not prison, but, community service and a conviction. So that will affect your credibility. So when they turn around and say, I don't know shit, and the police won't do shit, then they know shit themselves. They don't know what they're getting into. I like it. Oh, we're going to send something for the post. Really? The only thing I got through the post was my cushion I'm sitting on, which I paid for myself. Thank you very much. Again, I'm doing that quite a lot, like 2 clicks. I don't know what it is. It's not me doing, rocking. So otherwise you'd hear like the tapping, the knocking of me moving around. That was like. So I just don't know what it's doing that. I can't debunk it, so I don't know what to debunk. That's what I try to do, is debunk my stuff. But when I'm not doing streams, on here, I'm streaming on my gaming channel, Miss Survival, if not Call of the Wild. I've been doing Miss Survival, kind of apocalyptic survival game where these infected humanoids come out during the night and day, especially in the mist. That's when they come out, mostly in the mist. That's why it's called Miss Survival. And you got like a bandit AI that you try taking on and getting their supplies, their loot. So I've been playing that. Used to play Call of the Wild quite a lot. But since Miss Survival came on, I stopped playing Call of the Wild and been playing Miss Survival quite a lot. I've been streaming that on my other channel quite a bit, 34 hours a day, sometimes twice a day. So I've been playing that. I was going to do it early as well, but I didn't realise what the time was and how quick it's gone. So I don't think I'll be playing it now. Probably watch a couple of YouTube videos and then go to bed and get up early and go and do my shopping, which I'm supposed to be doing. I've got to get some money on my electric key before that runs out as well. Again, can you hear that? It's like clicking. 2 clicks goes really weird. Now sometimes it even does it when I'm not even moving around. You see when I'm moving around, you know, kind of thing. I'm not saying it's spiritual or anything like that. Don't think I am. It's just unusual that I keep hearing that. Could be paranormal. Could just be house settling down, you know, because I've got the heater on. Maybe something is expanding or disbanding, you know. Could be the woodwork. Could be the windows. I don't know. I don't know what it is. I can't debunk it. So I don't know what it is to debunk. Yeah. Right. Well, I'm going to shoot off. Thanks for coming on. I had to do this as part 2 because on part 1, I don't know what happened, but the audio went offline. And I don't know why, because if the audio went off, the video should have gone off because I'm using the webcam. I wasn't using my ICE microphone at all. And I tried like resetting the audio through the audio settings before I ended the last stream. That didn't work, so I had to end it and start this one. So I'm not sure if this video will stay up because, like, you know, we did talk about the pandemic and, like, you know, I'm a bit concerned that, you know, people might have taken it the wrong way. So I probably might put this one on private for a while and then put it back public later. I don't know yet. Might even delete it. You know, some people say, oh, you don't need to delete it or put it private because nothing bad was said, but you know, you get some funny buggers out there who takes certain videos the wrong way. You know, we tried to have a decent conversation about it, which I think we did have. You know, there wasn't nothing negative said about situations, but you know, you get the wrong person in the government side of things that watch the video, they might take it the wrong way and try to get your channel striked and video removed. So I'll probably just put it private, this one, for a while, and probably release it back to public a bit later, so a couple of months' time or something. So I don't really want to take the chance or the risk, to be honest with you. So this one will be put private after. But yeah, I'll try to get Dave on another night and have another topic. Try to get Rose on if she wants to come on another night. Ask around a few other people, see if they want to come on. So how it goes, I suppose. So I'm going to say good night. I'm not sure when I'll be doing the next stream. If you got me on the old notifications, you should know. If you're not getting notifications, just unsubscribe me, resubscribe me, hit the notification, then you'll get notifications. If you've only just recently subscribed to me, appreciate that. Thank you very much. Thank you for everyone who came on and showed a bit of interest on the channel and being part of the side chat. And I'll catch you on the next one. So I don't know when it'll be. It could be a couple of days, might be a week, might be 2 weeks. I don't know. It depends on how I feel and when I want to do a video. If you got me a notification, you'll know by that popping up, I suppose. So, yeah, catch you all later. Have a good night. Cheers now.